Tony Dunn, ain't nothing to it but to do it, brother. Let's roll.
In a world where Carolina Panthers fans have an insatiable thirst for Panthers news and opinions, only one podcast roars ferociously. It's the C3 Panthers Podcast.
What is up, Panther fans? We're back again. The Panthers are 1-8. The season seems like it's done, but there's a ton to talk about. Frank Reich says this team doesn't want to be a power running team. No changes have been made to the coaching staff since we last talked. And I guess now we got to prepare for an invasion, folks. An invasion of one of the most obnoxious groups of fans on the earth. The Dallas Cowboys are coming to Bank of America. They're going to make it their own stadium, and the Carolina Panthers better have been practicing their silent count this week. But we got it. We got everything from a starting guard being cut to J.C. Horn maybe making an appearance. We've got all of that, plus your calls on the C3 Panthers podcast. The number's 252-228-5098. And as I do each and every week, I rock with my wheel man, Cody Lack. I feel like we're always fending off now some haters. I think we've made it. Now people are mentioning me out of nowhere. I'm like, hey, I was just at work, bro.
C3 is big time, bro. We are on the tips of the tongues of Panther Nation, and it feels good, man. I'm not going to lie. We've been working hard at this. But listen, man, J.C. Horn finally returning to the Carolina Panthers team. Hopefully he can stay healthy for a sustained amount of time. There's been a lot of discussion about the offense and whether or not we should or shouldn't be a power run football team. Frank Reich certainly doesn't think so. And we also have a lot of commotion and chatter over who is going to be the next head coach of the Carolina Panthers. And Tony, we haven't even fired our head coach, man.
Oh my goodness.
There is so much to talk about, man. It's a Tuesday night, and you know that we're here with the best damn Panther fans in all of YouTube. You know them and love them. It's our guy, Drew, Joey the Blind Panther Esquivel, the brand ambassador, Diesel Skills, Dakota, Damian Tucker, Daniel Berry Sports Highlights, Flub the Duck, General Zod, Harvey London, Ken Germain, Kristen Ladane, Strats, Paisan, Moses Marinero, what's up? Panther Gal 73, Patty Grimes, Roosevelt Mongo, TJ, and Underground West. Tony Dunn, it's Tuesday night, brother. Ain't nothing to it but to do it. Let's roll.
We got a great show for you tonight at 9:15. Ricky Raines, contributor for Cat Crave and co-host of the Kitty Lit podcast, will be joining us. Always a fan favorite, great football mind, and great guy to come on the show. But another great guy in the house, CK. Man, I'm glad to see you, even though I'm not glad to see the Panthers.
And I'm happy to be here as well, man. I love being here with you boys. I love how you started out saying we have a lot to talk about, but at the same time, we have nothing to talk about, really.
Isn't that wild? We're going to be talking about weird? A coach that hasn't even been fired and the next coach.
It's a wild proposition, but somehow believable as a Panthers fan that we are as bad as we are and they haven't made a move. I mean, the fact that Fitterer is still on the roster at this point in time or employed by the organization is a wild thought. So here we are, and we're just going to make the best of it. And unfortunately, we're not going to be making the best of it against the team that is considered one of the most explosive offenses in the entire NFL. So we're going to see.
We're going to be giving away a jersey tonight. We might do the fans a favorite, the C3 super fans a favor, and not give them a Jonathan Mingo jersey. but instead we will discuss on the podcast what jersey they should get. So we'll do that. Let's say we'll do that at 10 o'clock tonight as we start the second hour. Yeah. And what we'll have to do is set a timeline for that person to respond, and then we'll go to the next person next week if they haven't responded. Remember, that will be given away to a C3 superfan. You can support the show for just $1.99 contribution a month. It helps us continue to pay for the software and some of the things, the hosting, the website, and things that we've got to do on the back end. Thank you to Kristen Ledane for the birthday wishes, as well as everybody who has reached out to me on social media. I appreciate it. Hey, another year around the sun, but more importantly, another year for me on the C3 Panthers podcast. It's my favorite group of people, and I cannot tell you how much you guys really mean to me. So thank you for all of that. Let's jump into the show, guys. Look, I think today the biggest, the real news is that the Carolina Panthers mixed up their offensive line by not just promoting somebody, not just signing somebody, but they just straight up cut the starting left guard. The guy who has started the last 5 games. Here's Joe Person on it. And then here on the left, I'll tell you, this is from Mike K in the Charlotte Observer. Joe Person says this. He tweeted this today. Panthers making a change to their offensive line, cutting veteran Calvin Throckmorton. Thank God we don't have to try to get his name right anymore.
Oh, I know, right?
Who started the last 7 games. Man, I thought it was like 4 or 5. 7 games.
This is so absurd.
The replacement options include Chandler Zavala, Cade Mays, both who have started games this season. Here's Mike K on it, guys. He put out a story today. He said, he wrote, with the offensive line struggling to find consistency, Throckmorton became the obvious weak link, especially with Corbett back in the lineup. The Panthers will look to replace Throckmorton, who was claimed off of waivers ahead of week 1, with one of their depth linemen. Rookie Chandler Zavala, who previously served as the team's starting left guard before Throckmorton, could be an option. Cade Mays could also be under consideration. Undrafted rookie Nash Jensen might also be in the conversation.
Oh,
here is where it gets wild to me. The team is also has the option of moving multiple linemen around. And this writer, which I didn't click on it to see who that writer was, it was suggested that the Panthers move center Bradley Bozeman to left guard and put Cade Mays at center. We're back into the F-line funk, guys, where a guy plays better at center and better at left guard. What sense does this make, fellas? To not just bench him. Why don't you just bench him? Why do you cut him?
Oh, I feel very, very strongly about this. Before we start, a wonderful donation from Strats with the $20 love bombs that Smash Mouth Football has always been the Panther identity for what I can remember. This is the main reason I dislike Reich. It's unwise to shy away from that style, given the pieces we have work well in that. It angers me a lot. Thank you, Strats.
Strats, thank you. 50 people are eligible for the jersey because of Mr. Strat's mega donation last week.
More than that, if you count all the other ones.
Yeah. On top of that, stick around, Strats, because I've got an unpopular and opposite opinion of what you just said. Oh. And I'm going after it. I'm actually defending Frank Reich tonight.
Oh, all right. Well, listen, this is a total scapegoat move to me. I mean, Throckmorton has been under he's started 8 games for us. Like, he's been a starter for a long time now. And this is Scott Fitterer saying, hey, boss, I'm still working. I'm still doing something. Don't worry about all those trades that I wasn't able to execute on. I promise I'm still doing something. That's what this reeks of to me. Like, you're choosing Throckmorton to throw him under the bus. And by the way, I'm not saying that Throckmorton has been good for us, but this entire offensive line has been terrible all year, to the point that now we're talking about potentially switching Bozeman and Cade Mays. Like, it makes zero
you gotta
sense
cut him,
in
Cody?
the world to me. Well,
it's
that's what-
fine to change him, to make a change in the lineup.
yeah,
But it doesn't. I don't understand why you would release somebody
That
without a plan of how it's going to work.
it's not like the people behind him have a better resume or have more experience on that offensive line. Now your O-line that's supposed to play with a tandem or as a tandem is going to have a brand new piece inserted into this lineup, and you're putting more pressure on whoever that person is. This is the dumbest move in the world, and this is just them trying to show that they're still doing something and being held accountable for how terrible this offense is.
CK, and a way of trying to find without just going negative on everything,
Yep.
at every moment. If we try to find some sort of logic behind this, is it possible that since the Carolina Panthers have, obviously the season's out of hand, out of sight, is this now an opportunity to either develop and work on some guys that you're going to try to see what they can be going on, or in a way of evaluating a Cade Mays better, a Brandon Zavala, or a Nash Jensen to see if they're going to be around next year?
I don't know, man. I feel like you kind of do the same thing with Rockmore. I don't think that you get rid of a guy like that who's been, clearly better than what we had with Zavala on the line. Zavala looked absolutely horrendous.
But he was a rookie. He's a rookie, though. So, you got to get him better at some
And
point.
coming off of a neck injury, right?
Right. I don't claim to know football enough to be able to know what their plans are or what they believe is the best route to take. But man, I tell you what, it does seem like an odd proposition to have him be the guy that you're letting go, and leaving this up to a second year player in Cade Mays and a rookie in Zavala at this point in time. It's just an odd decision making situation there.
All right, let's 9:15 takes us a long time to get through our intro and all our hellos. We love you. Thank you for supporting us. Oh, did I mention this is the longest running Panthers podcast? We have completed 10 seasons where we haven't missed a single week. We've had to move it around. The show started on a Wednesday at one point, and then I said, hey, let's get more air. Let's get more shelf life. Let's move it to Tuesday. And it was at 10 o'clock at one point. Imagine a 3-hour show that started at 10. So now Tuesdays at 9. We're here every week. Somehow, some way, we find a way, and we've expanded coverage. But now we've got to bring in a guest to make this even more robust. Let's bring in a fan favorite, Ricky Raines, contributor Cat Crave, and also co-host of the Kitty Lit podcast.
What's up, fellas?
Ricky, what's up, my man?
How we doing tonight?
We are
Better than the Panthers, Rick.
I didn't anticipate the first question being a loaded one, man. I thought that was like a layup. I thought y'all were just going, oh yeah, everything's good, in the regular show.
So it's kind of like this. Is right now I'm a Carolina Panthers fan. Clearly, I've been with the Carolina Panthers and doing this podcast game on some tough streets. We didn't know what we had in 2015. We were still getting. That was just our second 2.5 seasons into it. And it was just like, holy shit, this is awesome.
Yeah.
But we've weathered some tough years. And on top of that, I'm an East Carolina fan. And arguably, people tweet all the time and they say, Carolina, the Panthers, have the worst offense in the country. And I kind of have to hold off and say, man, have you seen my college team? Because that is literally the worst offense in the world.
Yeah.
So it's been tough. And when you get on the post-game show and the first thing someone says, how you guys doing? You're like,
yeah, it's not the right
it's
question.
Rough. These streets are rough, Ricky. Do you have any, let's get started with this Calvin Throckmorton news. You are someone who has been very even keeled throughout this season, trying to find really good and bad, and you've been very objective through everything.
Sure.
Make sense of this move for us, please.
I don't know really how I can. I'll give you my interpretation of it, but I don't promise that it's actually going to help make any sense.
Okay. Sounds like a Panthers move.
Right. Yeah. Like, I'm just really trying to stay in line with the way that the team operates. Right. I don't want to surprise anybody by making too much sense. Calvin Throckmorton, man, he played 7 games. He started 7 games for us, right?
Yeah.
He was a post-cut waiver ad that we put in a waiver claim for. So clearly there was somebody in the building that liked him enough to say we want to make sure that somebody else doesn't get him, right? Or else it's just a waste of a waiver claim. I think that at that time I was telling myself and telling anyone that asked me about who Calvin Throckmorton was, it's strictly a depth thing because they've got this rookie in Chandler Zavala that they do not know what he's going to be and how long it's going to take him to get to where they are comfortable with him playing. The other option was Nash Jensen, an undrafted free agent rookie, right? We knew
complicated by Brady Christian's injury in game 1.
Right. And that really, really compounded the issue, in my opinion. I think that with Brady out, we always had our eye on the ball of getting Corbett back later in the year. We knew it wasn't going to be right at the beginning, but we thought that we could get right when he was back in there.
Yeah.
When we lost Brady, I think that it kind of created the floodstorm that we're in the middle of right now, to be completely honest, man. And I think that this Calvin Throckmorton thing is we have to make a move, but we don't want to do anything overly substantial because we don't have any idea what the long-term plan is here on this offensive line. And I don't think you will ever get that admission from them. I would have liked to have seen that with this move, a corresponding move of whoever it was that was making these roster decisions and the depth chart decisions of, hey, man, bring Calvin Throckmorton and let him play. I understand that Zavala got that injury, but he didn't win that position back. They kept Throckmorton going in there. If the plan is now to have Zavala come back in, there has got to be some sort of explanation for what they have done with this depth chart. I mean, there is no rhyme or reason to why they're moving people around for. Throckmorton looked terrible. Zavala had probably the worst PFF grade of any active guard that was playing. So there is no silver lining to either of them, but Throckmorton has no connection with the team. Zavala is a draft pick. You can't cut him. You can't get rid of him. That's admitting a wrong, right? It's already admitting a failure.
Well, and it would be kind of rash too, right? A third round.
No matter how bad he is, I don't think that he was supposed to play at the beginning of this year. I don't think they had any intention of Zavala.
That was a fan thing. The fans loved him because he had the tide. Yeah, for like 8 games.
Yeah.
Well, do you think this could be a way to say, hey, look, the season is kaput? Right. And Throckmorton's a veteran who's been in the league for a while. I don't even know if he's played that much, to be honest. I just read that he was a veteran. I didn't even know that he existed before.
He got some time with the Saints last year. He got some
so could this be a move to say, like, hey, man, this needs to be a time for us to start working on developing players? The things we argued about in the past that we haven't done when the season was going bad.
Yeah, I think that it is that. I think that where I have a big problem is, and not a big problem, but where I'm having a communication problem with that, right? Because I think a lot of this issue that I've had with the front office and the coaching staff of this team has been the messaging. And I think that's what a lot of fans have had an issue with. If you're saying that we are going to work on the development now of Chandler Zavala, that's our focus. We want to see what we have in him so that we can make a decision. It also kind of comes at the expense of the development of Bryce Young because he has been so bad that right now, if you're trying to get a gauge on what you have in a developing player, I would prioritize Bryce Young and getting an accurate read on what he can do with the best protection. So that's where I come back to my original point of, is this a move that is getting Bryce the best protection, or is this a move that has some sort of ulterior motive to it? And if it's not about getting Bryce the best protection, there's got to be an explanation for what this plan has been all along, because that just seems like a big, incompetent move to not have the offensive line built to give the best protection.
Did this move come after the Monday press conference? I mean, it happened today, right?
Right. Yeah. So
basically, we need a reporter. We got to get in touch with Tim Jenkins and say, the people want to know, not that we care about Throckmorton, but what is the coinciding plan with this move? And is there any concern about the development of Bryce Young at this, but he sucked anyway. So did it really matter?
Who, Calvin?
Yeah, I mean, I know Zavala had a bad game and a half or whatever, but are we really just comparing short people's height at this point?
Yeah, Zavala had a bad stretch. After that week 1 showing, I thought he had some promise on tape, and that was also his only start that he started at right guard, and then we moved him over to the left side. I don't think that it's some like giant moving from the right to the left side. And you ask some people, and they'll tell you that the left side is actually an easier position to play on the offensive line than the right guard side. Okay. I don't really think that that's that incredible of a move to go from one side to the other playing guard that should have resulted in this like devastating difference in the way that he played the game. I have a really hard time understanding what the long-term goal is here. And if it is Zavala being the starter, okay, but is that detrimental to Bryce Young? That's the only question that I want to figure out, right? Is are we willing to figure out if we have a long-term solution at left guard at the detriment of our quarterback, or do we want to prioritize figuring out what's the best protection? I don't care if it's going and picking up a veteran free agent who's just sitting around right now.
Just for the back end.
Just for right now. Does he do a better job of blocking than Chandler Zavala will for the next 8-7 weeks?
Yeah. Look, Ricky, I want to get to the meat on the bone here, man.
Oh, yeah.
I really want to get into this, brother, because, look, Panther Nation, they're already firing Frank Reich. They're already talking about who the next head coach of the Carolina Panthers is going to be. And you talk about what's best for Bryce Young's development. Yeah. Well, I've been of the mindset that this entire coaching staff hand-selected Bryce Young. He's the guy that reportedly they all wanted and they were all sold on. The organization from top to bottom chose Bryce as their quarterback of the future. If you do this thing where you fire the GM and the head coach again in the offseason, well, now you're bringing in a brand new coach and a brand new GM that had no say-so in bringing in the said quarterback. So I've always been hesitant to just say fire everyone.
Sure.
But I've got to be honest with you, man. It's getting harder and harder to defend Frank Reich, especially in light of recent things that have been said. It's caused a recent stir and a bit of a brouhaha. Frank's statements on whether or not we're a smash mouth football team. I'm going to play this clip, and then I want to get your opinions on Frank Reich and the coaching staff and where we should go from here after we do hear from Frank Reich.
Got it.
It just goes to, and again, I don't want to, say everything that we're trying to do schematically, but in the big picture, I will say this: we want to be a physical football team who can run the ball on their own terms. Do we want to be smash mouth football, under center, power? No, that's not who we're trying to be. We're not trying to be that. So
now he says that we're not trying to be that. Okay. Granted, you got a quarterback from a very specific style of system into the Carolina Panthers, and you want to try and build that around him. But now you also have league sources that are coming out and saying how boring this Panthers offense is, how rudimentary it is. And league executives everywhere are saying just how behind the curve we are. What do you make of Frank Reich through this point? Are they purposely, or I don't want to say purposely, but are they just putting Bryce in such disadvantageous positions that they need to fire him now and get a brand new set of coaches in that can maximize his potential? Or do you think that we need to perhaps exercise a little bit of caution when we talk about Frank?
So, at the beginning of the season, when we started out really poorly in the first 4 games, right? 0-4. I preached a little bit of patience because we didn't see anything in the preseason. And that was on purpose, right? They said that they were keeping everything close to the vest so that we could kind of have the surprise element at our behalf. They didn't really open up anything after the first 3 or 4 games. So then I start questioning, so what did we hide? Is there another grand scheme that's coming out in week 5 and week 6? Like when are you taking that ace out of your pocket, right? It's just not happening. Then he makes the move to change the play calling over to Thomas Brown. 3 weeks later, he's talking about can't commit to that being the case going forward. They're still working that out. He came as recent as I think after the week 9 game, he said, we're still figuring out the identity of this team. So where I have my trepidation with Frank Reich at this point. And I'm going to be honest, I am on board with cleaning house at this point. And here's the reason why. I don't think that this staff is going to be able to maximize what Bryce Young does well. I don't think that they anticipated having so much adversity. And I think that some of that is on Bryce Young. I think that some of that is on the collaborative efforts of this playbook. I don't think that what Frank Reich and Thomas Brown tried to mesh together clicked and gelled in any kind of way. You look at the offense that they're playing, and it is a stagnant, static offense. Everything is short. There is none of the motion from the Rams offense that you would expect. There's none of the play action. And a lot of the play action people are pointing to now saying, well, you could get that if you play out of under center a little bit more. It's true, but look at what the Rams do. They're not out of center that much either. They play out of shotgun a lot. So there are ways to scheme up these advantages and to play to your personnel. And this coaching staff isn't doing that. I think that Frank Reich is a really smart guy. I think he's a really nice guy. I don't know that his personality, first of all, is the personality that's going to take this already kind of docile quarterback, right? Like Bryce Young is a very peaceful, calm dude. You see some fire when he's playing, but the pressers and everything like that, he leads by example. He doesn't lead with words for the most part. I don't know that what we have with Frank is going to be the leadership quality that you want to see from this exact coaching staff and this team. My personal opinion.
On that note with Frank Reich, I came to this weird potential wrinkle in this entire situation with with hiring Frank Reich. Mm-hmm. And one thing that came to my attention was, and when you look at the field of coaches that were really going to be available, we weren't really getting the highest quality interviewees, right? And so one of the thoughts that, and listen, that's no shade on Frank Reich, that's no shade on even Steve Wilkes or anything along those lines, but when I look at the group of coaches that were actually going to have a chance at coming to Carolina, that didn't back out, that even refused an interview altogether, like, I mean, when you look at that list, do you believe there is a chance that Tepper hired the guy that was going to be easiest to fire after year one?
I don't think, it's a good question. And I think that it's legitimate to wonder because of the fact that you look at Tepper, man, and you kind of think the same thing about Fitterer sometimes. Is he kind of a patsy? Is he kind of a yes man for Tepper, right? There's a lot of insinuation about those kinds of things. But I don't think that Tepper would do that. And the reason for that is because I just don't. Everyone talks about Tepper not caring. I think he does care, man. I think he does want to win. It messes with his money.
Almost too much.
Yeah, almost.
You know what I mean? Like where
you're
too anxious to move up the timeline. And he probably wouldn't open the checkbook for all the assistants if that was.
I don't think so, man. I really don't. Unless he had some sort of under scheming plan of Thomas Brown or Evero or somebody being the one to take over, and that's why he's paying so that they could keep. I just don't see that, man. I think that this was all genuine. I think that they missed, to be completely honest. And I don't think it's anything crazier than that. I think that they liked what they were told. I will say this, that you brought up in the hiring process, and I had an article post today from Cat Crave. Frank Reich, we were the only ones that interviewed him in this hiring cycle. When we hired Scott Fitterer as GM in 2021, we were the only ones that interviewed him in that hiring cycle. We're getting sold by some of these candidates. And I don't know if it's Tepper or if it's his wife, who it is, but somebody is coming in and they're making like a one-day impression as opposed to looking at the recent history of what they've done. You shouldn't have looked at Frank Reich and said that he was fired midseason, no matter how crazy Jim Irsay is, man. And I understand that is a slippery slope to talk about Jim Irsay's mental fortitude and his ability.
Well, he wanted to fire him the year before too.
He did, but he wanted to fire him because he wasn't coaching very well, right? Like it wasn't a consistent team. The only consistent thing about them is that they weren't going to be extravagant. They weren't going to be great. They weren't going to excel.
Right, and that's my issue with that scenario. Is a lot of people are kind of hanging their hat on that were really big fans of Reich. I brought to the
2023 wasn't a good year for the Carolina Panthers, but I'm trying to make 2024 a better one for myself. Get started on your resolutions with Factor so you're ready for the new year. Factor's ready-to-eat meal delivery takes the stress out of meal planning and sets you up for success in the new year. Skip the grocery stores, prep work, and cooking fatigue. Instead, get chef-crafted, dietitian-approved meals delivered right to your door. With over 35 meals to choose from per week, including keto options, calorie smart, vegan plus veggie, and more, plus over 55 weekly add-ons, you'll have a ton of nutritious and flavorful options to kickstart your resolutions. Skip that overpriced takeout trap. Factor is cheaper and way more delicious than takeout. Get chef-crafted, restaurant-quality meals delivered right to your door, and they're ready to heat and eat in just 2 minutes, which means more time for you. Head to factormeals.com/C350 and use the promo code C350 to get 50% off. That's code C350 at factormeals.com/C350 to get 50% off.
Just because breastfeeding is natural doesn't mean it's easy. But you don't have to do it alone. That's where the Lactation Network comes in. The Lactation Network helps parents at every stage of the breastfeeding journey. Whether you need support resolving feeding issues, choosing the right breast pump, creating a plan for weaning, or anything in between. The Lactation Network is the largest network of licensed breastfeeding experts in the country. They provide in-home, in-office, and telehealth consultations in all 50 states with no out-of-pocket cost. Get the breastfeeding care you deserve with the Lactation Network. Visit tln.care/podcast to schedule your own insurance-covered lactation consultation today.
Equation, his entire career as a coach of any capacity, he's been a loser more than he's been a winner, right?
Well, he actually has a winning record, though.
He does.
Well, as a Colts, but I'm talking about is over his career as a coach in the entire NFL, right? Like not just head coach. I'm talking about when you look at his scenarios, he's been fired more than he's been hired, right? So I think that might be an exaggeration, but nonetheless, as far as I hate the idea of saying that Reich had these different pieces, like he was able to do nothing with something, right? Or something with nothing, rather. And I think that when you look at that, I don't think that his coaching was elevating any team that he's been on. I don't feel like we've seen he's an offensive-minded head coach. And I just, outside of Jonathan Taylor being a freak 2 years ago, I mean, there's nothing that Frank Reich has done that's made me feel like he's a coach who's able to outcoach the other side of the field. It just doesn't seem that way.
That's what we were hoping for when we got a guy who was offensively minded that we thought would be able to give us some sort of game plan advantage. Is there any possibility, though? Is there a future, A, with Frank Reich in it? And B, is there any possibility that he could get something out of this Panthers team? And this just happened to be a bomb. Like you kind of went on and you were a comedian and you went up there and you just bombed. You turned out to be you could be a funny guy. You could be a good comedian. You had a shitty night. I mean, this is so bad. It's just like everything's gone bad.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if I may even
only say that's right now, because it's like every single
right. And if
right.
I may add on top of that question for you to answer, Ricky, I know you see me going back and forth with the whole Bryce debates all the time on Twitter. And one of the things, a lot of it, I understand. But one of the things that I've been saying, though, is that if some of these things are true for Bryce Young, that the offensive line is not good, the wide receivers are not good, then if those things are kind of out of Bryce Young's control, then to a certain extent, they're also out of the control of a guy like Frank Reich and Thomas Brown, who, got opportunities of a lifetime, paychecks of a lifetime to be able to come here to Carolina and further their career. And they just don't have the talent to be able to maximize what they do. So does any of that also kind of tie into the potential of maybe giving Frank Reich a little bit longer leash than some Panther fans are wanting to give him.
So here's my thoughts on that, because it's an interesting premise that I actually had this conversation with somebody today. The difference between giving Bryce Young and Frank Reich in this staff like the same amount of leniency is that Bryce Young didn't choose to come here. Bryce Young didn't agree that the players on this roster currently would work for him. He also didn't go and get extra players that he thought would fit his system and make it work to a T and say, this is what can work. He didn't agree to work with the coaches. He didn't agree that the meshing of the philosophies in the schematics on offense would make a potent offense, that he already came out and said, we're going to contend for the division title. We're going to try to win games. We may not win all of them, but we're going to be out there playing hard, and we're going to have fun, exciting offense, right? The difference is that Bryce didn't get to choose any of that. Bryce got chosen for it, and they're asking him to execute what they want him to. Sometimes that's just not going to work. What I thought about Frank Reich, and where I was not sold on him, he wasn't my first preference on a coach. I don't think he was anybody's, because he was a surprise, right? Like, no one had him on their short list of coaches that was going to be brought into Carolina. But what sold me on it was when he gave the whole speech of, I might be a 60-year-old guy with a lot of NFL experience coaching, but I'm open to working with these younger minds and doing things their way and doing this in a different approach. I'm not going to try to do things my way. And I don't think he's done it just his way. You talk about his time at the Colts and you're like, I don't think that he elevated any of the play of any of those players. You bring up Jonathan Taylor. Jonathan Taylor's an elite player, right? You don't have to really elevate him.
He made the playoffs with Phillip Rivers. He went on a crazy, not a crazy run, but with Carson.
But he made a nice late season run, right? Like he did string together some consecutive wins.
He also inherited a great defense and a great offensive line.
The offensive line is the key there. He had a great offensive line at almost every stop along his way that he did find success. What he elevated, in my opinion, and what I anticipated coming here to Carolina, was the usage of the tight end position. And he didn't have guys that were getting 1,000-yard seasons or anything, but he had 4 guys that were getting 400-yard seasons. He was using people in a myriad of ways that were creative, that were keeping defenses off being able to guess what we were doing, what the attack was. You put in 6 or 7 offensive linemen, which essentially is what 12 or 13 personnel is, right? You have those extra blockers in the tight end. You give that look, and you're forcing the defensive personnel to play certain people. You're forcing them to play certain looks. And what he did is he took advantage of that with play action. He had tight ends that he thought were dual threats that could do both, and it was staying multiple on offense. I thought that was the vision when he came here. He took his receiver or his running backs like Nyheim Hines, and he turned them into threats out of the backfield. He had situational players.
What did he forget football then all of a sudden?
I have no idea. I think that it's the mesh of the philosophies with him and Thomas Brown. I don't think it works, man. Like, I keep coming back to that in my head, and I have no way to know that for sure because I don't even know what the playbook looks like. You can look at quarterback school and watch all this stuff and say the playbook is just Hank over and over and over. It's all hooks. I get it, but none of it looks familiar to anything that they're doing. It all looks ultra conservative and kind of like they're not sure what they're doing.
I think sometimes we can get lost in vanilla play calling terminology and be unhappy with things just because it hasn't worked. I don't know. Like, sure, are some of these guys innovative and doing cool things and breaking down other defenses and stuff? Mm-hmm. Certainly. But you have to be able to execute. Yeah. Right? You have to be able to execute simple plays before you can do complex plays.
Absolutely.
I don't know if I think you're on to something too with kind of the lack of I think this is that they came in and they said, look, we got Bryce Young. We're going to spread the ball around. We're going to do all this. And he hasn't been as productive as they hoped he would be as a rookie. Maybe they rushed it too quickly. I think also that the personnel isn't executing very well. Yeah. And I don't want to, and look, is that more than likely Frank Reich is one and done now. I mean, it's going to be hard to bring him back and sell that to anybody, including Tepper. But all of a sudden, there's not, it can't be that Frank Reich just goes, we don't want to use the tight end now. I'm sorry, it just can't be. And I see a lot of plays where Bryce Young just isn't looking at Hayden Hurst. Like every time Hayden Hurst is open, he happens to be looking somewhere else. Now, is that his fault? You know what I mean? Is it the way the play's progressing? Who knows? I'm not trying to criticize Bryce Young fans. I know that.
No, I think it's okay to criticize Bryce, though. Like, that's the thing about this, man. Like, I think that all of you guys know that I am a Bryce Young fan, right? Like, I like him. I believe in him. I think that he's going to be a very good quarterback. I think that he has the ability to be a very good quarterback. And I've seen flashes of it. But I've also seen flashes of stuff that I didn't even see him do in college that are troubling, bad habits and things that are going to be difficult to come out of. You want to talk about the linear track between Trevor Lawrence and what happened with Urban Meyer, right? He had this awful coach that did this detrimental damage to him, but then he got Doug Peterson to come in and everyone thought everything was solved, right? Look at what Trevor Lawrence has done a couple of times this year. He's regressed back into those old habits that he formed with Urban Meyer, getting sped up, making bad decisions, not trusting
turning the ball over.
I
have a friend. My trainer says this, and he's a black guy. He says if Trevor Lawrence was black, he would be getting shit on everywhere right now. He said he's got the white quarterback leeway.
I think that if Trevor Lawrence was anything other than the guy that was touted as, and here's the phrase that everyone loves so much, is generational prospect. I think that if he was touted as anything other than that, man, I mean, seriously, like even regarded as Bryce Young or CJ Stroud in that reign, right? I don't think that anyone would be surprised that he's not playing out of his mind right now.
Right.
People are really quick to watch CJ Stroud have such a phenomenal start, man. And it is an incredible thing to watch. I'm super happy for this dude. It is outstanding. It's not typical. It is not typical in the slightest of what we are seeing right now.
No, not at all.
And that doesn't necessarily mean that Bryce Young will never be able to be in the same tier as CJ Stroud. And it doesn't mean that CJ is going to stay where he is right now either, man. Like he's played 10 weeks, right? And it looks like he's the real deal. It looks like it is legitimate. There was zero NFL tape on CJ Stroud and Bobby Slowick's offense coming into this year. You give NFL defensive and defensive coordinators an offseason to watch all the things that they did.
Sure.
And I would love to see the adjustments that are made.
But this is the story. But Stroud is the story, and that not only fans and the media want, but also what front offices want. We act like it's just fans that are being impatient, that it's just the media pushing these things along. The not for long league, they are also impatient. So when that's happening, you go, oh, well, fuck it. They did it.
Yeah, 100%.
Yep. And to add on to some of the things that you were saying earlier when you were talking about the Rams, and I think that this also goes to Thomas Brown as well. The Panthers play out of 11 personnel 90% of the time this season, and they're only behind the Rams. However, the Rams use shifts and motions 70.5% of their snaps, which is the third most. The Panthers are all the way down at 29th at 39.3% of snaps. So you're right. They're trying to be like the Rams, but they're not doing all of the things. Right. Yeah, without committing to exactly what the Rams do. Look, I know we're going to be talking about coaches for a long time to come, but I'm going to throw a name at you, Rick. And every time I bring it up, Panther fans get real upset until I force them to stop and think about it for a sec. I'm going to put a name out there, and you tell me what you think about it in terms of being a new head coach for the Carolina Panthers. That would be none other than Bill O'Brien. Bill O'Brien not only had the Houston Texans as contenders in the AFC South for a long time with Deshaun Watson, he was also the offensive coordinator for Tom Brady when they won the Super Bowl. And to top it all off, who better to help build your offense around Bryce Young than the guy who literally called the offense for Alabama when Bryce Young was winning a Heisman? I know a lot of fans don't have a lot of great thoughts about Bill O'Brien, but to me it seems like something that David Tepper would do. And personally, I think you could do a lot worse. What say you?
Yeah, so what I'll say about Bill O'Brien is that you mentioned those things that he did well, right? He had the Alabama offense with Bryce Young. He had Tom Brady. He had Houston playing pretty good ball, right? If you took what he did at Alabama and you gave him a different school's players, right? Does he do the same things? And I'm not trying to do this whole thing that it's all based on players, but what it means is, can he adjust? Because I think where he gets in trouble, look what he's doing in New England right now. He's also supposed to be the one that could have fixed Mac Jones and turned Mac Jones back into Alabama Mac Jones. That's not happening. The offense as a whole is stalling out. The offensive line that they have going there, it looks very similar to what the Panthers have done, where they think that they could take, look, we don't need to spend high capital on every position. We can just get one or two, and then we'll be able to build from around it. It's similar. So I'm a little bit wary about his ability to come in here and take the personnel that we have and take that to his scheme. And at the other end of that, I'm very, very wary of him being able to take our players to whatever scheme works for them. I think that he is similar to Frank Reich in the way that if he tries to put something in motion, if he tries to implement a offense and we don't have the personnel for it, he's going to keep trying to shove that square peg into that circle hole. He's not going to be able to figure out how to make that shape a little bit different so that it will work. And that's where I think that Bill O'Brien kind of has that same system for me. But I do agree with at least the premise of the familiarity that he has with Bryce Young. He is going to know what you see Bryce Young doing a lot on NFL Sundays is like calibrating what he can and can't do in the NFL. To me, that's what I see a lot of. Bill O'Brien's going to already have an idea of what he can and can't do against the NFL because he's very familiar with NFL speed and talent, and he's also very familiar with Bryce Young. So he's going to look at it and he's going to say, yeah, look, here's the deal. You see this look right here? It's not the same as it was in Alabama. This is a different NFL look. There are different consequences that come from it. You have to read defenders differently. So maybe that's the ear that, or that voice in his ear that does help Bryce Young, but I don't know that it helps the entire team, man. Like, I don't know. It's a really tough one for me. I still personally.
Is that a Band-Aid at that point?
Well, I know that
because they would have to just turn it around, or else everybody's gone anyway.
I understand that he's no one's first choice. However,
that's it for me.
Yeah.
No. I'm sorry, man. I didn't mean to cut you off, but like what you said is exactly it for me. I'm actually kind of just getting sick and tired of the Panthers settling for things that aren't the first choice. They're settling for the things that like Ben Johnson, man. And like, this is something that will plague Panthers fans for a long time, that Ben Johnson spurred this franchise because he decided that he didn't want to ruin a good thing that he had going in Detroit. Let me ask you a question. When's the last time you heard somebody say that Detroit was a better situation than being one of 32 NFL head coaches? You know what I'm saying? Like, that's a damnation on the Panthers organization. And it's also a credit to what it was for Detroit to go and get the right guys and the right personnels for that system and to run it efficiently, man. When they got Ben Johnson,
it didn't happen overnight, though.
No,
and
it didn't happen overnight at all.
The Panthers are working with basic goods out of the cupboard. You know, they're in a chop challenge right now. And that's where I don't know if saying the scheme is going to be the problem down the road, you know, is like, I don't think that we have and here, let me bring this up. Cody, can you bring up the Frank Reich discussion today or yesterday where he said they don't want to be a power run team?
And, you know, I would say, too, while you're looking for that, I would say that when you talk about, like, it's maybe not the scheme all the way down the road, maybe they can fix that. How long does it take? How many players do they need for his system? So how long does it take? Because if it takes 2 or 3 years, that's 2 or 3 years out of Bryce Young's rookie contract window and his development.
What would be fair, though, to be honest, is that might been the problem, is that you're rushing that along in a way.
It's a tough situation, man. I don't know that.
Because then aren't you going to have the same problem too with the next guy and the next scheme and the next thing is at some point you have to have players.
Well, hold on. Look, this is why I brought up Bill O'Brien, right?
Yeah.
Because obviously Ben Johnson's the hot name right now. You even hear Bobby Slovic, who's the offensive coordinator for the Texans, who came from the Kyle Shanahan tree. Right. You're hearing all these names, but my thing is like you're essentially asking David Tepper to hire someone that he interviewed last year, and they weren't able to come to an agreement.
Nah, he refused, didn't he?
D'Amico Ryans refused to interview.
D'Amico Ryans did not interview, yeah.
Right.
Did Ben Johnson actually interview, or didn't he just say, I'm going?
He did.
I think he did like a phone interview. I don't think that he came in person, if I remember correctly. I don't think that they ever got him here to Charlotte.
And again, the only point that I was making with Bill O'Brien, I understand that it's nobody's first choice, especially how it ended with Houston and how so many people didn't like the culture there. I understand that completely. But considering that the Panthers are going into 2024 without their first round pick, they didn't trade anyone before the deadline. So it's not like they're looking to get more and more capital to be able to build around Bryce Young. You're going to need somebody that really believes in Bryce Young's abilities.
Absolutely.
And Bill O'Brien, throughout that entire process, I mean, basically came out and said that Bryce is one of the smartest quarterbacks that he's ever worked with.
Right.
Mind you, he won a Super Bowl with a dude named Tom Brady. So if he believes in Bryce that much, and you as an organization believe in Bryce that much, that you traded so much to move up for him, I just feel like you could do a lot worse.
It's great to have somebody in his corner, right? Like that would be a really positive thing to have somebody in Bryce's corner, because right now I'm not 100%. I know that Thomas Brown raves about him and talks about how much he loves him. I just don't know that he has anybody that's like, look, this is our guy, dude. We're going to do whatever we have to do to make this successful. I still think that there's a little bit of, for Thomas Brown too, man, this is his first year as an offensive coordinator. He wants to make his mark and he wants to do things his way and show what he's able to do. Frank wants to prove that whatever happened in Indianapolis wasn't because of him. It was because of the crazy owner and all this stuff. There's these little, I feel like there's these little personal motivations that I wish weren't there. And that's why I wish that it wasn't this hodgepodge staff. I would love to see somebody that comes in. You talk about a team takes a head coach's personality, right? This is where I have my hard time with Bill O'Brien, with Frank Reich, Frank Reich is all of this stuff, man. Really nice guy. Sweet as can be. I think I said this one time in a space or something like that. He's like a golden doodle, right? He's like that meme that you see where the owner looks like their dog. Frank Reich is a golden doodle, and he's got our entire football team looking like golden doodles right now. Those are terrific dogs, man. They're great family pets. I love them. I would tell any family that wants a dog to go get a golden doodle. I wouldn't bet a dime on a golden doodle in a dog fight. And every Sunday, we're asking golden doodles to go out there and win a dog fight. You look at Dan Campbell in Detroit. What changed that culture there? What changed it? That's when he came out and he's talking about eating kneecaps and breaking spines and stuff like that. You need somebody that if you have a team that has a history of losing, if you have a culture that needs revamping, and this is why everyone goes back to Steve Wilks, man. Steve Wilks figured that out. He figured out a way to have this team buying into him as their leader. Everything else I think could have happened, creating the staff. I wanted Steve Wilks to be the coach if there was not a better option. And I know that sounds kind of shitty, but it was one of those, I wanted an offensive coach really badly. I really did, man. I thought that this franchise, if we were going to make a move up for a quarterback, I thought we had to prioritize offense for once in the history of this franchise. I was really hoping that Ben Johnson or Shane Steichen from Philadelphia, those were the two that I wanted. I thought that they were the ones that looked like they had kind of that it factor, that the Kevin O'Connells, that the Sean McVays, that the Bobby Slokes, and Kyle Shanahan's, these guys that just seem to have it figured out. It doesn't look temporary. It seems like they're actually good coaches and the guys are buying into it. And they don't have this huge history of the NFL of old days kind of interfering with their new age approach. That's where I was sold on. Steve Wilks, the only hesitation I had with him is what was his staff going to be. That wasn't a knock on him. I just had no inclination what it was going to be. When you look at somebody like that comes out of Shane Steichen, out of the Philadelphia system, I thought maybe he brings Brian Johnson with him, right? From Philadelphia. I could do a linear path where I could see that all coming together. I can't see it all coming together with somebody that has never put together a successful staff, if that makes sense.
Ricky, first, we don't want to hog your time, but we'd love for you to hang out if you don't have anything to do.
No.
All right, perfect. We're giving away a jersey at 10 o'clock because we hit the Mega Mango.
Right.
Cody, what do we got next?
Well, yeah, I mean, this is something that we talked about a little bit. Let's talk about this. We've done a lot of talking about the offense. What does this mean for us? We're finally going to see the return of J.C. Horn and, technically Ian Thomas, but we all know what we're here to talk about is for J.C. Horn. And again, I mean, you have some good wide receivers coming into town against the Cowboys. What do we think this does for our defense? And at this point, what do you even expect from J.C. Horn? I mean, we haven't seen him in such a long time. He's been hurt just about every season, and now we're asking him to come back and play at a high level. My question for Ricky and really everyone here on the panel is, what do we expect of J.C. Horn this Sunday against Dallas?
Man, I'll tell you, if he's active, if they're giving him the green light to go, I'm expecting a high caliber corner to be out there on the field, to be completely honest. I don't think that you put him out there if he's anything less than 100% because there's no need. You're 1-8. There's zero need to put him out there if he's not full gear, 100% ready to go. And if he is, then I think you absolutely put him out there because he's got some validation to do here, some proving. And he's up for a big year next year where he's going to be up for his extension. I think that J.C. Horn brings a lot to this, man. Ejiro Evero in his defense, he has done a great job with what he's been dealt, dude. This defense has faced just devastating.
They don't have any
injuries.
parts, man.
They got
They've
nothing,
been
man.
devastated by injury, and they were understaffed to start.
Look at it. And that's my only gripe with Evero, man, is that I think that I've heard that he has been kind of a little bit adamant that they didn't need the nose tackle in his system to do with the run stop. I think that was a mistake. You know what I mean? I just think that's an honest to God mistake. But also, I think that he was saying maybe we have to prioritize something else over that, right? Maybe we go and we have to reach up for DJ Johnson because that's what he thought he needed to prioritize and that he could make that work. That's a blunder. Obviously, DJ Johnson hasn't worked out, but Evero has that secondary playing great football. And we haven't seen that for a minute, man. Dante Jackson's playing well. DiCaprio Boodle looked good. Before CJ Henderson got hurt, I thought he was playing pretty damn good football, man.
All the guys that we didn't think would look good, actually, we didn't even know existed. The Williams guy, Deshaun
Williams.
I guess the only thing that I've been upset about is, like, why are the players that we drafted not playing? I guess Jamie Robinson. I call him Jamie.
He finally started to see some.
Right. No, I think the defense, I could say, in some ways, I think the safety play has been well enough. Hey, and no Jeremy Chin, but I don't think teams have had to pass on us, Ricky.
No.
I think part of the secondary not looking bad is they've been able to run the ball effectively and get short fields from, I mean, look, you got a Minnesota team that beat us with 136 yards passing. You had a Houston team that only got 100. I mean, like, nobody has had to we won with Houston. Indianapolis, they didn't have to do anything on offense. So, I mean, I do think the defense has performed better than expected in some ways, given the fact of all the injuries. And I really thought the offensive unit was going to be the better unit of this team going into it. And look, that's why I don't want to only say it's play calling on the offense, because DJ Chark can't get off the line. He can't. I mean, it's just like even the players they thought were going to be contributors have been terrible. But you're right. The defense has been a pleasant surprise, but I agree with you 100 is that if he ain't ready to play and go after it, he shouldn't be coming back. Yeah. I wonder how much he's trying to force it, how much the team really is interested in seeing him. And really all I want to see is, again, what you said, plus finish the game and then finish the season. That's what I want to see from him.
Yep. And, you talk about the teams that come in, they don't have to throw against us, and that's kind of what's like boosting up that pass defense, the numbers. I think the biggest feather in the cap though was actually that Texans game, because they have a abysmal run game, right? Like they have a terrible running game and they are a very heavy pass team. And they came in and they didn't try to change their game plan. You talk about Minnesota, they tried to change their game plan. They knew what our deficiencies were and they attacked that as opposed to playing to their strengths. Houston didn't do that. And we put out a great game plan against a high-powered offense that was clicking, that no one else in the league was making adjustments for and planning for in the way that Evero did. That's his feather in his cap for this year, in my opinion, so far. Going forward, though, this is a big test right now against Dallas, man. And getting JC back would be a really nice thing. Is it even sure that he's playing, though? I know that they said they opened his window, but I haven't seen any kind of confirmation that he's definitely going to be active yet.
Well, they did the same thing to him that they did to Thomas, and they're saying Thomas is playing. They did the designated to return from IR. So, but I didn't know, to be honest with you, I, for whatever reason, there was a part of me that thought that he didn't even go on IR. They'd just been waiting for him. But it's been an unfortunate reality for him to be behind the 8 ball for so long, man. I really want him to be healthy for an entire season so we can see what he's capable of doing. But man, I've talked about it, and not to go back to the Frank Reich, but I've been a proponent that Evero needs to be given the interim head coach position, give him a real shot at getting the head coaching position in the offseason, and see what this guy can do. Because I mean, he was highly sought after. They wanted to keep him in Denver, and we were able to steal him away from him. So I think we got to give this guy an opportunity to show what he's actually capable of doing beyond just taking care of second stringers and turning them into starters in this league.
My interim head coach choice is Chris Tabor, the only unit that's been good. And is there I don't even really care.
Tabor's been good for a few years now.
Yeah. All right, let's give away a jersey. All right, let me ask the panel. If you wanted a jersey, if you were going to go buy a jersey today, what would it be?
Sam Franklin.
Nice.
Frankie Louvu.
Ooh, yeah.
I was thinking about Frankie Louvu because I thought, hey, that would be the jersey I would want, but there's a chance he's not on the team next year.
Yeah, he's a contract year, so I think you've got to go with somebody who's under contract for a couple of years. I mean, you could say Thielen, but there's also a chance that he retires after this year.
Is it Bryce Young? Do we got to give away a Bryce Young jersey?
Or Hunter Roberts said Thielen.
Yeah, well, that's what CK. Yeah. I can't. I don't know. I mean, I don't know if I could buy a 33-year-old wide receiver jersey and be super excited about it.
Yeah, but I mean, it's not for you,
What about Derek Brown?
He's going to be going into a
contract year, but
we get 2 years out of a year.
It's gonna be Derek Brown, Brian Burns. I mean, one or both of them is gonna be here, right? Like they're gonna pay one of those guys to keep somebody on this defense.
All right, I'm going to say this is right now we're going either Bryce or Brown, but we'll let the winner pick from those two. Or actually, they can pick any damn jersey they want, as long as I can get it at a reasonable price and from the team or whatever, some way. I mean, I will even buy it from China if you want. That would be cheaper. That's where I get my jerseys. All right, so here's how it's going to work is we hit the Mega Mingo, and to show you what Mega Mingo is, I don't know if Ricky is. Have you heard of Mega Mingo, Ricky?
I have not, no.
All right, so
you did just say Mingo. I thought you were now talking about a Jonathan Mingo jersey. I was like,
well, that was the original plan when we designed this game. When we designed this game at the beginning of the season, we made a Mingo card, a Mega Mingo card.
Okay.
Where we have been filling out this bingo card throughout the season, and we keep it running. And when we hit something, we put an X up there, multi-passing game, successful challenge, 300 passing yard game. We've been sitting here for a couple of weeks, it felt like, with this Mingo touchdown.
Yeah.
And we were going to give away a Jonathan Mingo jersey. We ended up getting this Mega Mingo hit with a special teams touchdown with the punt return.
Oh, nice.
So that makes them. But then we said, I don't know if anybody really wants a Jonathan Mingo jersey. We could have stuck to the game like.
Yeah. The Sam Franklin idea is interesting. That's for the special teams touchdown right now.
Wow.
Yeah.
We're down so bad if we're giving down.
So what we're going to do is we're going to give it away to a C3 superfan right now because of Mr. Strats. Good Lord, we have 206. He gave away 50 last week. So that was at like 100. We were at 150. That's where we've been sitting. So there's 206 current C3 super fans. I'm going to pull this up and show you guys. I've got the spreadsheet up, and it looks a little like this. An Excel sheet. All right. So I've got them numbered, or this is the number that they've been downloaded. Look, is first shout out to my boy Kev, the first C3 super fan. Look at this. These are the old hats, right? These are the first at it. Way to go, John Jenkins. Way to go, Panther Pickle. Way to go, Kev, Sean Butler, James Island, Drew Dexter
Lindsay.
Just don't care. That's an angel investor. Supreme. Yeah, so we got a lot, but look, there's a lot of names here. So I got to ask you one more question. When we do a giveaway like this, I'm going to do the random number generator. I see some people they hit it 3 times. The only thing I don't like about that is what if your number is the first one to hit?
Yeah, do you feel like you got like cheated out or something?
Right. Do we just hit it once or do we hit it 3 times?
If you hit it 3 times, it changes the probability, right?
I think
Then it's not random.
Yeah,
well,
like it's not 1 out of 250. You know what I mean?
I think we do it once unless we don't like who we get, and then we keep doing it until we.
Okay.
By the way, for those of you
I hope
asking
it's my mom.
For those of you asking how to become a super fan, $1.99 a month on YouTube. Become one of our paid super fans, man. It helps us continue to produce content, the film room, all the things that we're doing in the off season. Hey, it's all because of you guys, man.
If you're watching on an iPhone, you have to probably open it up in a non-mobile app.
Yeah, you need to open
iPhone
it up.
and Google.
Yeah, it's a
fight with
whole
each other.
ordeal, man. You have to go. If you're on iPhone, go into like a browser. Go to YouTube, but erase the little M out of the URL to get it out of the mobile URL and just go to the normal website, and you should see the join button on your iOS device.
All right. Without further ado, I'm going to hit it once and we're going to give it away. Now, I'm also going to say this. I'll give you 2 weeks to get in touch with me. Right. You got to email me at carolinacatchronicles@gmail.com or hit me on Twitter or just somehow directly get up with me so I can get your information. If I don't hear from you in 2 weeks, we'll do this again and give it to somebody else. All right. Is that fair, guys?
Yeah, that sounds
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Here we go. Number 153. Ooh, a new. You know what? That's a Strats. That's a Strats donation. No, it's not because the older numbers. C3 Padawan Panther. You have won your choice of a jersey. First of all, I love anytime somebody has C3 in their tag. So well deserved. CK, we like them.
Yes,
We like them.
We'll keep this on the top of the list for the time being. Padawan. I haven't seen Padawan in the chat yet, so we're gonna have to probably put out a.
I think him and I are friends on Twitter. I'm gonna shoot him a message.
All right. Do we have anything else topic wise we want to talk about before we get into some cat calls?
Let's see, man. We already talked about JC Horn. We already talked briefly about this going around the NFL. Several coaches and executives believe that the Panthers are relying too heavily on a shotgun and pistol, many shotgun formations with Young, which limits the effectiveness of play action passes. They say adding more play action from under center would slow down the opponent's pass rush because they'd have to honor the run and create more separation for the receivers between the second and third levels of defenses. And you've been hearing this a lot, Tone.
Where do you think this information is coming from? It says coaches and executives.
I know, but they do this always at the middle of the year, man. It's always like,
I don't trust this.
We're hearing
subterfuge.
reports from such and such who's saying such and such, but there is some credence to this. There are a lot of people. And again, if you were not a fan of Bryce Young during the draft process because of how tall he was, well, you're seeing this right now and saying, oh, well, all they can do with Bryce is put him in shotgun because he's so short. They don't want him so close to the line, which in actuality, that's not how it works at all. In fact, the New Orleans Saints put Drew Brees under center all the time. And that was one of the things that helped him to open up some of those throwing lanes. So, yeah, this has been a big topic for a while if Panthers are putting Bryce in the gun far too much.
All right. Well, I think that's part of the schematics of things, right? Like they want to be out of gun. I hate the pistol in the NFL. I don't think that works in the NFL. We heard some of, but we always hear this when it doesn't work.
Mm-hmm.
Is that's the whole thing. If this stuff, and some of it is so close to working, really, if the Panthers would have just found a way to win 3 games, we're not having these conversations. We're talking about really needing to build around Bryce and going into the future. It's just because it's been a calamity of error. Like every single thing has been bad. Mm-hmm. That's why we can't get out of this funk. I think that, and this is where I go back to the Frank. I kind of want to defend Frank Reich on his comment about not being a power run identity team. I think he's right. I think like that's the whole point. That's why you went and got Bryce, a guy who's a distributor of the football. You want to spread him out. You want a passing offense. It might not be downfield all the time, but you want to be a more offensively pass-oriented team. And I also don't think you really have the personnel to be a smash mouth team. I mean, you bring in Hayden Hurst. Is he the greatest blocker? I don't really know. If you want to be, the reason we were able to be that smash mouth football team was a lot to do with Deontay Foreman and putting extra tight ends on the line, putting a fullback in at times, right? And just saying we're going to will 3 yards every time. And I don't think the Panthers want to be that, nor do they have the personnel. And I also think to say that Frank Reich is too oblivious schematically to understand that his offensive linemen are. So somebody messaged me today, and a very nice, polite message too. So it's not like a mean thing. Mm-hmm. But they said something to the effect of, this offensive line is built for a power run game. And I think that's a polite way of saying Icky's not good in pass protection and nobody's really good.
I think that where I come with that, there's twofold, right? Icky, yes, is obviously way better in run blocking. But he's not limited to just power run blocking. Icky is athletic. And that's why everyone thought that there was a high probability of him being able to develop into a good pass protector, was because of his overall athleticism and his feet. He was pretty quick, which actually works for the zone blocking scheme. So it's not that he can't be effective in his zone blocking scheme and he can only do a run or a power run. Bradley Bozeman is the key for that for me. Bradley Bozeman in Baltimore ran a power run scheme and he was very effective. Bradley Bozeman is not very quick or nimble, and he doesn't have a lot of lateral ability. So pulling him in a zone scheme doesn't work out very well more often than not. And that limits how many outside zones you can run. That limits kind of like what else you could do from under center, as far as him getting out of the way before a defender gets directly on top of Bryce Young. And that's where I think they are stubborn or bullish about not doing that. And I understand that. My gripe is when Frank Reich sells the fact that he's leaving no stone unturned, he's not married to one certain thing, and he is doing everything he can to put this football team in position to win. I would say that you have to incorporate some of the principles of a power run game and see what it does. You do not have to limit yourself to just one thing. And that's one thing that James Campen does with his coaching, is that he doesn't teach just one blocking technique. He teaches to the player. That's what he's always been revered for his time in Green Bay and now here in Carolina. I just think that you're either limiting yourself because of stubbornness or you're limiting yourself because you don't see it. And either way, that responsibility is on the coaching staff for me. Maybe not. It's not just Frank Reich. I put on this on Thomas Brown as well and James Campen. I don't think that this is a sole blame on Frank Reich, but Frank Reich is the head coach. And when the buck stops at somebody's desk, where does it stop? It's either the head coach or the GM. And if nobody can answer anything and make adjustments, those two have to be held accountable for it.
True. Hey, Tony, before we go to some calls, let's hit some of these super chats. Mr. Stratz with the $5 says, Ricky, why did Frank choose such an outdated and mundane set of plays? He seems stubborn and stuck in old ways, non-innovative plays. And I kind of think that's the point that you're making. It's like they're trying to continue to fit a square peg into a round hole. Care to comment?
Yeah, and I don't think it's necessarily that Frank chose the outdated and mundane set of plays. I think that if they had better personnel, if they had faster personnel, if they had a better offensive line, I don't think that all of these schemes look as static and boring and slow that they do right now. It looks that way because of who's playing. But Frank and them are responsible for that as well, because they chose some of these free agent players to run that system. Right. As far as the innovation,
how much do you think he was involved in that, and how much do you think? I feel like it was the first time Fitterer was the guy that had the command of the roster.
Yeah. But I'm going to keep going back to the words that they use instead of me trying to interpret what I think of it. I'm going to go off of what they're telling me so that I can hold that person collaborative. Exactly. Every single person in a room talking. Every week we're talking. How do we get this team better? What do we do in free agency? How do we attack? Who fits? They told us that they meticulously put these players together for a reason, because of this system. And now they're saying that this system is going to work. You just got to wait. look, man, we've touched about it tonight. It's a matter of time of how long is it going to take for you to get the right people in, because we all can see right now you don't have the right people. So you've been telling us you have the right people. You're standing on that. You're doubling down in the most recent press conference. We've got players to win a game. Yeah, you got players to win one game. That's what you've done. And if that was the objective, then I guess we could go ahead and call it a day and y'all can get out of here. We can bring in people that want to win 8 or 9, But one way or another, either they're telling us something that's not true or they don't know how to fix it. And I don't have confidence in either of those aspects coming from a head coach and GM.
Okay.
What's next?
Fair
Cody?
enough. 2 more. Jerry with the 499 says Panthers are messing up Bryce Young. How many times could he have lost 10? Pretty sure he means yards. And he turned it into +2 yards. Was always better than Stroud. Says Jerry with the 499. He brings in another 499. Says, how many times is Bryce?
No,
I think he just did the same. Yeah, he did the same thing.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you.
Appreciate
is that what he fixed? He fixed the yards.
Fixed the yards. That was nice of him.
Yeah, that was
I think
cool.
that is
Appreciate you,
optimistic Panther fan. I think that is, and I'm not trying to diminish your position, Jerry, is that I think that is someone who wants to believe that Bryce can be it. And I don't think it's helpful to say he's better than Stroud and this and that. I unfortunately, those narratives are going to be woven together for the rest of the time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're always going to be compared to one another.
But his success and Bryce Young's success, they're corollary, not causal with each other. Yep. I think Bryce has shown moments where he has done some good things. And look, he's put some yards together on the ground.
Mm-hmm.
But he's also been imperfect.
Yep.
And that's okay. I mean, he's a rookie. I think it's just so hard to see, like you were saying, Ricky earlier, is that because Stroud's season is so insanely good, it also makes Bryce's look worse.
Yeah.
And really it's not that Bryce has been bad. He just has been a rookie.
Yes.
And the problem is that we listen too much to the draft nerds.
Mm-hmm.
We listen way too much. And I'm putting it in. I've told everybody listening to this show, every time I hear generational talent from now on, red flag for me.
Yeah.
If I hear pro ready, red flag for me. We should have said Bryce has these attributes that can translate to the NFL, but he's going to have to go and get in the NFL. And look, he's had moments where, he's just had he didn't capitalize. That's fine. No problem. I got no problem that he had a multi-interception game. I don't care.
Yeah.
It's just when our expectations were out through the roof.
Yeah. And also to add on to it too, when it comes to Bryce, I feel like, and Ricky, you even mentioned this earlier, so credit to you. It's like, even the things that you saw him doing well at Alabama, he has seemingly regressed on. And one of the things that I noticed to be a big problem is staring down his first read. Now, for those of you that have been watching, we've been putting up all 22 film reviews, hour and 30-minute film reviews on the channel. And we're showing, it's not like we're nitpicking. When you look at Bryce from the end zone angle, so many times he gets stuck on that first read and he's just not moving off of it. Now, instead of me saying, oh, well, that's on Bryce just not doing what a quarterback should do, I also remember a few weeks ago when apparently there were marching orders that came down from David Tepper to simplify the offense from Bryce Young. Well, I'm wondering if they're doing it almost to his detriment, that the offensive line is so bad and they want him to get the ball out of his hands so bad that they're toning down and oversimplifying things instead of just letting Bryce go through his progressions.
I think he's doing that, Cody.
Doing so.
I think that's part on him, and not in a bad way. I think that he feels sped up.
Yeah.
Right. And earlier in the season, I almost said he went through too many progressions. And it was like, this is fine. Just throw the damn ball instead of trying to make sure you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 1, right. Yeah. And now he's playing too sped up. There's just a lot of different things that are going on. He makes some good plays, but at the same time, I think too, I saw somebody put out, this is the one.
Yeah, I did.
Not pro ready. I mean, not pro
I
open.
love this one. I love this one. Yeah.
Dude, so Daniel Jeremiah had what I think was the fairest take of Bryce Young. He says, watching Bryce Young and the Panthers offense this morning, a couple things stood out. Pass pro is poor, not much separation down the field, limited run after the catch. Bryce can't help those things, but he does need to speed up a little bit. He's waiting for college open instead of pulling the trigger when guys are NFL open. Yeah. And that's valid. You know, there is a difference.
And that's where some of the arm strength questions come in a little bit.
Right. And I think that's also what makes people harp on the Stroud and Bryce thing even more, is because Stroud was the bigger, stronger, better arm quarterback coming into the draft. And the reason why you drafted Bryce is because mentally he is so advanced, and he goes through his progressions, and he knows where the blitz is coming from, changing protections at the line, doing all these things that veteran quarterbacks are doing. And now we're realizing that in order for all those traits to be on display, he is really more than most quarterbacks. He really has to have a helping, supporting cast around him that can help him to do all those things.
Well, I think Stroud is playing with confidence too, and Bryce is playing with a new territory of adversity.
Yeah,
it's hard to play confident for the Panthers.
Yeah, I think that you're right that assessment by Daniel Jeremiah was really, really good and really poignant. But I also think that it's more evident in the past 2 weeks, those things that he's stressing about the college open to NFL open. And that's my concern right now, is that if you watch even the Detroit game that we lost, the Miami game that we lost, he made throws with anticipation and timing when receivers were not anywhere close to being college open or even borderline NFL open. He just used his anticipation to see that is where he needed to go. And that is a great sign. That's exactly what you want to see from Bryce Young. One more thing about his game, though, of why I think they liked him possibly more than CJ Stroud. Who knows what the truth is to any of that. But why I liked Bryce Young so much coming out was his creativity, his ability to create out of structure and make off-platform throws. That was something that I thought translated really, really well to the NFL game that we are seeing today, because I think that creativity is what you see from the most elite players in the league, whether it's big, small, run first, strong arm, doesn't matter. That creativity of Aaron Rodgers, Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts, Pat Mahomes, those guys have that ability. And that's where I thought he had the ceiling that was worth taking as the number one overall pick, attached with his mental acumen and processing ability and all of those things. But that was that super chat, I think is what you call it. I don't know. He said something about how he would turn it into 2 yards positive instead of a 10-yard loss. That's a portion of it, man. Like, it is.
He's taking some 10-yard losses too, by the way.
He's taking 10-yard losses because he's holding onto the ball. And you know what? Part of that is that he's waiting for that college open to show up these past couple weeks, I think. But part of that also is stemming from when he was at Alabama, he had the protection to wait longer because he would just wait for college open. Even if he saw the small window that he could throw, why not wait? He's got time. Wait until it's a sure damn thing and drop it in the bucket. And so he's going to have to break himself and his internal clock of that habit, but he's also got to make sure that he doesn't form new habits in the meantime. And what he's doing with that is these kind of panic moves and second guessing. And that's what you did not see from him in Alabama.
So I 100% agree with you, Rick. And one of the things that I want to bring up, because, during the draft process, it was such a heated debate between the Bryce fans and the Stroud fans. But one of the things that was in Bryce's corner is that he was so good under pressure, because other Alabama offensive lines in the past had been a lot better than the one that Bryce was playing with. Yeah. So the narrative was that the receivers when Bryce was at Alabama and the offensive line, they weren't what they were in years past, and yet Bryce was still able to thrive and still able to have success.
Yes.
I feel like maybe, and this is not my opinion, but I feel like this is why some people are also wondering and kind of worried that, maybe Bryce had all that improvisational skills in college, but they're still worried that we might not see that exact type of improvisation translate into the NFL.
Yeah, I don't think you will. I think that's fair. And that's what I was kind of touching about earlier is it's calibration is what he's doing right now in the NFL. I don't think that you should expect him to be able to do the 10, 15-yard scrambles behind the line of scrimmage and run for 7 seconds before he just throws it downfield and finds somebody wide open. I don't really.
That's not realistic.
I don't think that that's something that you should expect from this kid, man. Like, he's not a barn burner of a runner. Like, he doesn't have the rocket cannon arm. He's got a fine arm. Dude, his arm is fine to make any NFL throw that he needs to make. He's not going to make the Josh Allen throws where he is whizzing it in from 60 yards on a line. It's not going to happen. But you know what? Josh Allen gets himself in trouble because of his arm a lot too. So when you look at everything, man, it's got to be a cohesive picture with a quarterback, man. And Bryce does have the ability to put it all together, but expecting him to be the exact same caliber athlete that he was in college when he's playing against some guys that end up going in, being accountants like me or selling cars or doing anything else like that, they don't make it to the NFL. The NFL is the elite of the elite. Even these practice squad guys and even these waiver wire ads. These are guys that are better than everybody else at the game of football, man. That's why they play in the NFL. So Bryce is literally up against that every single day, as opposed to sometimes getting a freshman who's starting for the, third-year corner that's out for the week. And then he takes advantage of that. It's not the same when you have a deficiency in the NFL. That's still an NFL player. Even if it's not the J.C. Horn corner, it's still a NFL corner.
Yeah.
Cody, let's take some calls, bro.
The last one there was only one more slide that I was going to bring up. But you know what? It's a big one, Tony. You're going to be happy that I bring this up, I think.
I don't care about this mess.
All right. Well, I mean, it's also relevant considering everybody wants Fitterer fired. That there are many rumors that the Carolina Panthers were doing their damnedest to bring in either a Davante Adams or a T. Higgins. And I don't know how to feel about this because I don't necessarily know how hard they tried to do this. But I have no doubt that they did try. But, I mean, it kind of goes.
How is this big news, Cody? This is no news to me. This
is new because Frank Reich is telling everyone that they have the guys on the team right now.
Oh, he's gonna always say that. He's always said that. That's what you say. You don't. You fall on the sword. We all know that we could benefit from having better receivers. We all know we could benefit from having better offensive linemen. The only one to me that this makes any sense to was Davante Adams because you have a contract in place with him. All these other guys you got to worry about just doing what we're going through with. Brian Burns or whatever. Like, I mean, you can just get this guy in free agency. You know what I mean? They're not going to franchise tag T. Higgins, are they?
That would have been wild, though, if it would have gotten Davante Adams.
I think that would have been fine. I think but I've already made my point. I don't really care about this because right now this seems like just doing things to appease the moment and the people and the thing. And like, I do think it would make the team better. Mm-hmm. But right now, I don't really. That's where kind of like the power run game and this kind of like, yeah, I guess you could kind of get a little bit more out of this if you did some of that. You get the run game going a little bit more, but that's not who they want to be, and they want to develop this team in a different way. And I don't know if just winning 2 or 3 games to make us feel happy is really. But the problem is going 1-16 is fucking. Getting everybody fired. Yeah, then it doesn't matter. I guess then you should be running power to just try to get 3 wins so you keep your job.
Yep.
Stats wants you to upload you doing an honest Frank Reich presser.
Oh, I used to do some impressions of some different guy. Not impressions, but yeah. Honest Frank Reich? Yeah.
I'm intrigued.
Honest Frank Reich would probably have to say this is I said this, Ricky, at the beginning of the season. I was worried that he was too nice.
Yeah.
And not because I need a grab. I learned from Ron Rivera that being demonstrative on the sideline isn't necessarily a good thing. You know what I mean? Like, but it turned out behind the scenes, Ron Rivera's peeling the paint off the walls.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, so he wasn't, there's a Barstool thing going around right now that's hilarious where they say they're asking, does Ron Rivera talk? And because he never says anything on the sideline at all. And then they asked him at halftime, what did you say to the team? He said, I let the players talk. And they were like, oh God. But I mean, so I don't think just yelling and screaming necessarily means something. But I do think Frank Reich was like, oh, I like David Tepper so much. I like everybody. I love everybody. I think that David Tepper likes yes men.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
There's a lot of people that are saying, like, man, kudos to Frank for shielding his coaching staff from some of this stuff. It seems like he's kind of taking it on the chin. He's trying to like keep them away from too much criticism and all this kind of stuff. Maybe that could be respected for a portion of time. But I'm going to tell you now, too, that if you're always the guy that's just taking the fall for somebody else and you're not being accountable and being a little bit public with some of that stuff, dude, you never want to throw anybody under the bus, player or coaches. You never want to do that. But a little bit of public accountability is not a negative thing.
Yeah, I could say this offensive line needs to help Bryce more. They got to do a little bit better. Yeah, Bryce needs to be a little bit better. We thought this 100%. Was going to go a lot better. We're disappointed 100%. In ourselves. We're disappointed in everything. But, you know, I guess. Well, I'll have to think of that. Honest Frank Wright presser. Can we take some calls, please?
Fine.
So I can go to bed at some point tonight.
Yeah, do some calls. I want to hear the calls. I haven't heard that yet, and I got to get out of here in a short little bit. So let's do some calls so I can be involved. Okay.
Let's do it. Yeah. The number is 252-228-5098. Let's hear from Panther Nation.
So what are your thoughts on catcalling?
Yeah, it's pretty you shouldn't do that to somebody.
And how did that make you feel?
Very uncomfortable.
So how do you think catcalling makes the person feel?
It feels good, like.
Who's that cat sitting in the back corner with his face buried in his nose? Who's that kid that can use one?
The question is, does it work?
Hey guys, love the show as always.
Thank you.
I don't ever call in much. I called in a few weeks ago, and Tony, you had me laughing about Suleiman and how the only reason that Joker's got his name is because his job is because he's got a great name. I think it might be true. Anyway, I want to know. There's 4, maybe 5 teams that just stuck for the last 20 years at evaluating talent in the draft. And we're probably just barely above the Raiders. I mean, their draft choices are just absolutely a joke. Ours aren't much better. How do we fix that going forward? I mean, we're always drafting terrible players in the 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th round, sometimes the 2nd round. Yeah, we hit on the 1st, but good Lord, my dog could pick great draft picks in the 1st round. How do we change that with changing, the coaching staff, getting rid of Fitterer? It seems like it's institutional at this point, and I wanted to see what you guys thought about that. Love what you're doing. Keep pounding. Love C3. Definitely the best part of Panther season the last 6 years. Love you guys and keep pounding.
Thanks a lot for the support and the call. Great question. One that is like an existential question at this point. We'll ask Ricky this because it has been something that we've talked about and we've kind of tried to figure out, but an outside opinion would be helpful on this. When's the timing to change the GM? And CK has brought up a great point on this podcast, is it's got to be the most difficult position, not to just get right, but to get in time right.
Yeah.
Is because, and I don't think the in-season management is the issue, right? No. I mean, I think you can find a way to, I could have told you, I could have cut Throckmorton. I could have just benched him. I could have done some of those things. But how do you get them in a timing and on a timeline that's going to set them up to make a positive impact sooner than later? And I think the answer to the drafting question is front office, front office, front office.
100%. And the timing of it, you're right. Once you get past the trade deadline, once you get past right around that halfway mark of the regular season, if you're not pushing for contending for a championship and you are all but mathematically eliminated from any kind of postseason, right? At that point, your objective as the GM is essentially done for that season of what you're going to be able to do and what you're going to work towards, especially somebody in Scott Fitterer's position right now who does not have any job security. There is no telling if he's going to be here. I don't think that he has much of a green light from David Tepper to be making any kind of like serious decisions, because why would he let him affect anything with his football team if he doesn't feel confident that he's going to bring him back?
I'm surprised he hasn't been fired already, to be honest.
Man, I think that, I wrote this in my article. It was rule after the San Francisco game, 35-17, got canned after that. We got the Dallas Cowboys coming in 49-17 last week. They're going to travel well. They always do. Because they've already got people here. If this is an embarrassing loss, if this is just all bad news Bears after losing to the bad news Bears in Chicago with Tyson Bagent, that I just think that at this point, man, this is the part of the schedule we were supposed to be able to find some wins. If you can't do it here and you're getting these answers in these pressers from your coach, at some point, man, you're going to make a change. And Fitterer is probably going to be the first because he's the oldest tenured one in here, and his hands are all over the roster and the personnel. And then I think Frank goes after that.
And the new GM could be helpful in. Well, I don't know if you would have a GM in place quick enough to make a decision on Frank, right?
Yeah, and I don't think that you can. So that's the timing part that gets a little bit murky, right? You're going to have to hire somebody outside. You're not going to do any kind of internal elevation. The only person would be Adrian Wilson, in my opinion, because he doesn't have the stench of this regime on him.
Yeah, I don't want Dan Morgan now.
I don't want anything to do with Dan Morgan, man. Like, look, we talk about yes men. Nobody in the front office has stood up to anybody on anything and put their own personal imprint on some decisions that have been made. And if they have put their personal imprint on the decisions, man, that's not good. Like that's not something I want on my resume,
Also,
so
the only
external.
You can't tell me there's a good reason to put Dan Morgan in charge at all. There's no reason you can give me outside of it's a good story. It's a good story. But Frank Reich was a good story.
Bingo. There
you know what I mean? Like we need to stop chasing storylines and we need to start chasing some Super Bowls. That's all I'm saying.
Or some wins. Let's take another call before Ricky's got to go.
Hey guys, it's Jacoby from Greensboro. I called a few weeks back for the first time, and I was a guy. I think I said I would rather see Bryce Young sit, and I think I stand by that. He looks like he's just getting beaten up, and it's taking that toll on his confidence. Like he looks like he has happy feet, and he's throwing the ball too soon or too late, and just didn't look comfortable at all. I think at this point, it's making him regress in his development. But even beyond that, I know there's been talk about benching him and how that's going to work with his confidence and, firing our head coach. And, if we got into head coaches, it wouldn't be, people that drafted him and everything. But I don't know. Part of me thinks, what about Evero? I mean, I know he was talked about as being a future head coach. He seems to be our most productive coach other than special teams. And I know he's not exactly, we don't have the best defense, but he's doing okay with the pieces he has. And certainly Frank Reich's not doing a darn thing. So I wonder if we can kind of keep that cohesiveness, with Evero being there, just being promoted, and maybe even Dan Morgan getting rid of Fitterer and being promoted instead of hiring out. And maybe that'll work. But
we won't address that one because we just hit that one.
Anyway, this team is really rough to watch. Love listening to you guys. Bye.
Ricky, we'll ask you this, and I know you got to go, so you can leave on this note then.
Okay.
Your thoughts on Bryce Young potentially sitting for a little while?
Yeah, I understand the thought process behind it, and it's not that I don't worry about his confidence in that aspect of being benched, because I think that it would be very clear he's not being benched. He's being sat for the sake of protection, if you will, man. Like, my concern with it is that I still think that you learn more right now playing and calibrating the speed of NFL defenses and the looks that you're going to actually see on the field than you're going to learn from watching Andy Dalton execute this offense. Maybe if this was a different situation where we had a different system in place and it was the system that he was going to be operating, maybe there's a benefit of sitting and watching that. I don't get the feeling that Andy Dalton coming in for the next 7 games is going to give Bryce a whole ton of learning experience for something that will actually be important to him next season. And if he's watching this, I just think that the speed of the defense and all of that is all he needs to get figured out right now. I think he's just got to work on that, get comfortable out there on the field. Watching Andy Dalton play in Frank Reich's system is not going to happen. It's just not going to benefit him, I don't think.
Wonderful stuff, Ricky. You've been so generous with your time. Please tell our listeners how, and they love you, by the way. Every time you come on the show, they're messaging in the comments how much they like your perspective, particularly because you're even keel and we're usually off the rails. Ricky, tell them how they can find your work and listen to more of your takes on your own podcast.
Yeah, I contribute for Cat Crave blog, and I just had a article post there today that kind of recaps the timeline under David Tepper and Scott Fitterer and all of the front office and personnel decisions that have been made, and it got us to this point, and where do we go from here? That was a fun one for me. So if you have any interest in kind of seeing the big picture laid out, that's a fun one to read. Kitty Lit Podcast will have episodes coming out on Thursdays and Fridays. My co-host has a baby on the way, so we're having to cut it from 2 days a week to 1. Life happens, and that's a better thing than doing podcasts. So we're going to let that kind of work itself out. And then on Twitter, man, come and follow me at Ricky Bobody. You'll see the sign behind me, but it's RickYBOBODDY.
Fantastic stuff. Thank you again, Ricky, and we'll be in touch.
Appreciate having me on, guys.
Yeah.
All right.
Appreciate it, Rick.
Let's keep pounding with these calls.
Padawan Panthers in the
Hey
building.
guys, this is Panther Pickle. I'm walking outside, so if the wind's a little bit, excuse me. I would just wanted to say that I think that the majority of the issue is actually Thomas Brown. Thomas Brown came from Deshaun McVay, which he wasn't an offensive coordinator. He was their running backs coach / tight end coach. And he was a running backs coach. In the middle of last year, they put him off the tight ends and back to the running backs. And then the very next year, later that year, we basically hired him as offensive coordinator. And if you look back and remember when Frank Wright and the rest of the staff were in the combine, Thomas Brown was back at the stadium making the playbook and figuring out the offensive scheme, which he'd never had experience doing before. So then you look at what we're running now or what we're supposed to be running, nobody knows. Also, Daniel Jeremiah posted on Twitter that a lot of it is the fact that Bryce, yes, we need improvements on everything, but Bryce is waiting for them college windows to open instead of taking a pro window. And Kurt Warner even responded and said yes, and that's causing him to be late on his technique when he throws the ball. So some of this stuff is just basically poor coaching and positional coaches and offensive coordinator coaches to us. Also, remember, his QB coach has never been a coach at any level until this year. So, when you put together a staff with no experience, that's kind of the way you dial things up. So, good luck to us all. And keep pounding.
Anyway.
Well, we thought we were putting together a dream staff. We did have some experience at the top end, but I think from like Thomas Brown not having experience being an offensive coordinator, well, nobody's got experience until they've got experience, right? So I don't think experience is the catalyst here. I think it ultimately boils down to for whatever reason, they're, like we talked about, they're trying to fit a square peg into a round hole. I think that's the ultimate problem that we have right now.
All right, let's go to Anthony.
Hey, real quick, shout out to Will Horsley.
Oh, nice.
Who just gifted 10 memberships to the C3 fam, bro. Will Horsley, you are a legend. We appreciate you, brother, man. Thank you so much.
Let's go to Anthony in Charlotte.
What's up, C3? It's Anthony from Charlotte. Quick part 2 here, because I got more
Part
to say.
2. Hold on, let me get your part 1. Where did you call in earlier? All right, well, here, this is what I get for trying to do calls randomly. Let's see who this is. Is this? Yeah.
Hello. It's Country Panther calling again from the Blue Ridge Mountains. Just calling, just bear with me because I seen a tweet and I wanted to read it to you. It says, I can't pronounce that guy's name. Somebody's report, it seems like Scott Fitterer is gone. It's just a matter of time. I'm not sure if Frank Wright lasts either unless they turn things around. Ben Johnson becomes available in the offseason. I have a hard time believing David Tepper sits idly by. So, I mean, it sounds like Scott Fitterer is gone. And honestly, I heard a caller that called in and said, some of y'all, if you're so smart, you'd be a GM in the NFL. Well, I need an application for it. I mean, I swear.
Yeah.
Like, what could I do any worse than Scott Fitterer? I mean, honestly, tell me. He traded for the number 1 pick, but it doesn't look like that's panning out very well. Okay? Then we got all of these free agent signings. I mean, none of them panned out very well.
No.
None of his draft picks did. Absolutely. Damn, none of them. So, I don't know how I could do any worse than Scott Fitterer. I mean, it's only up from here. Whoever we get as a general manager, it's got to be better. I don't see it being worse. I just really don't. I mean, they're probably in about the worst situation that you could ask for. So, I'm going to put in my application and just see if I get me an interview and see where it goes. But I have no doubt in my mind that I could do a better job than what Scott Fitterer has done to this point. As most of Panther Nation could probably have done a better job, honestly. So I don't see how you can do any worse. All right.
I hear you.
You have my vote of confidence in your abilities, man. I really do think it's really hard to miss this many draft picks. You could probably just point to the draft board and hit some star players more than we've seen Scott Fitterer hit them.
All right, next call.
What's going on is Rude Life Natural from the Rude Life Natural Show and the Handicap and Chill Podcast.
Hey, Rude Life, what's up, brother?
Anybody from this podcast is welcome to pull up. Listen, I watched the game last night. The Carolina Panthers versus the Bears, and it's not Bryce Young's fault. It's not. Look, Bryce Young did what he was supposed to do. He got the tape to show that he's a good quarterback, which he is. All right. It's the team. It's the organization, bro. We have no wide receivers. Our defense is trash. Like it's the organization. David Tepper has not put Bryce Young into the scenario. Excuse me, for him to succeed. He's not going to succeed like this. I don't even know who our wide receivers are. Okay, I don't even know who our wide receivers are. We have no running game. We need a culture. When Cam Newton was here, we had a culture. It was fun. We need a running game to help Bryce Young. We need wide receivers to help Bryce Young. It's not Bryce Young's fault, people. Y'all mad because we spent the first round draft pick and we got rid of DJ Moore for Bryce Young. Okay? That's what's supposed to happen. We need a quarterback. It's not Bryce Young. You got to play David Tepper in the office because David Tepper and them spent so much on that coaching staff and he went to the flea market for the wide receivers and the rest of the team. So stop blaming Bryce Young because now I'm a Bryce Young fan because he's got to make shit work on the toilet, okay? He's got to make shit work on the toilet. So now I'm a Bryce Young fan.
I've never even heard that phrase before.
Now because it's not his fault. The Panthers is just trash. I love the Panthers. I'll always be a Panther fan, but we trash and we ass. Jeez.
Peace. Shout out to NASA.
He does not know the wide receivers, and neither does PrizePicks. Don't forget the C3 Panthers podcast is brought to you by PrizePicks, the #1 place to play daily fantasy football. You can put your football knowledge to work and make money by identifying players and their projections, and then forming an entry of 2 or more players and correctly identifying if they do more or less than their fantasy football projection. The more entries that you get right, the more money you pay out. I tried to go big time in the last week, and it did not work out for me, fellas. I went $20 on a sixer. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And boy, Cody said, don't do it with Lamar. He didn't get it. But that wasn't my problem. That wasn't my problem. This is what really got me, bro. This Hayden Hurst. Come on. We had nobody. We didn't have anybody. We didn't have anybody. Our DJ Chark, who sucked all year anyway, wasn't even playing. It was Hayden Hurst's time. He got 2 passes at the very end of the game. This number went to 15 at one point. And I thought, oh, wow. And then they readjusted the game book, and it went to 14 afterwards. Miles Sanders with a -5. Guys, we've got to do better. Don't forget, if you go to PrizePicks, you use the promo code C3, you get a 100% deposit bonus up to $100 on your first deposit. You can play NFL, NBA, college football is fun.
UFC, video, dude, they have video games. They have CSGO. They have literally any and every sport you can imagine, man. And I'm telling you what I found, if you're gonna do like a 4 entries or 4 players on $20, dude, those flex plays, that's the way to go.
Flex are great, but if you do 5 or 6, they automatically give you a flex option. So there's it's a force flex, but I didn't even get to the 3 that you had to get, or the 4. Ugh. All right, Miles Sanders, -5 yards. And I don't even think that was even on Miles. They didn't even call his number. I, at one point, asked if he was even playing. All right, so the Panthers don't have a lot of projections this week. It is earlier. They may add some people. But right now, PrizePicks probably doesn't care about Carolina, just like most people, other than the hardcores like us on the C3 Panthers podcast and the listeners on iTunes, TuneIn, Spotify, those people in the YouTube chat, and those C3 super fans. Adam Thielen has been consistently hitting his mark until the last 2 weeks. Bryce has struggled. Bryce has had some turnovers. Things haven't worked. 2 weeks ago, they didn't look for him. Last week, he had his first drop of the season, I think. Do you see things changing with this relationship this week against the Dallas Cowboys? They got Stephon Gilmore, and they got.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, I was thinking about
and they got
Diggs.
What is he not there? Is he
no,
out?
Diggs is not. Yeah, Diggs is out for the season.
Ooh, just after they paid him. Oh
yeah, he was out after 2 games, I think.
Any confidence that Bryce can get more than 210 yards this week?
I don't.
No, man, dude. Michael Parsons is going up against Ike Ekwonu.
I hate to say it, I really don't. I don't see. I really don't see a path to him making that. Honestly, he might not even make it through the first half with the way that their pass rush is able to get to the quarterback.
All right, well then let's look around real quick and see if we can find anything, and then move back to the calls. Joe Mixon, 21.5 receiving yards. Ooh, we're in receiving yards. Let's look at passing yards. Burrow, 258. Oh, this is a Thursday night game. Great game, Baltimore, Cincinnati. Baltimore's going to be pissed, but they're on the road, I think. Or at least they were at home last week, and they blew it. They freaking blew it. What did I tell you guys about Keaton Mitchell? Man's a star. Every time he touches the ball, he gets 14 yards and a touchdown. Star. Got the most broken tackle percentage in the NFL. He's even hurt in doing this, dude. You haven't even seen how fast this mug is. Ugh. I don't think Jared Goff has to put up 270 to beat the Bears.
Fields will be back for this one. So, I mean, there's a potential
lot of ground game, run the clock down. 270 is a lot of yards.
Yeah.
I don't like it. Ooh, man, he's been kissing it. Ugh. Chargers, Vegas. Is it? Gosh, actually, you don't want to mess with that.
Oh,
No.
people are saying anything with Travis Kelce because they're playing the Eagles. He's going up against his brother, and Taylor Swift is going to be there.
Okay. Brock Purdy in Tampa Bay, Zach Wilson. Gosh, these are so hard.
Hey, what's Stroud?
I like Jalen
No, hold
Hurts.
on. No, hold on. What's Stroud? What's Stroud?
Oh, God. 254.
Who's he playing?
Arizona.
Fuck yeah. I take that shit all day, bro.
Yeah, but he has do they have
but
to?
he's on a
I don't
roll,
think
man. Like now he's doing things,
They
man.
got Kyler Murray.
Dude,
okay.
that Ravens team, man.
No, Kyler Murray's back now.
Don't let me push you into something you don't want to do. I'm just saying, bro. To me, that's the one.
I like
that.
I like Hurts, and coming off a bye, and we'll get one more in here. Two more. Let's see, rushing yards. Pollard against the Panthers. Man, that might.
That's the one, dude. That might be.
I like that. And Keaton Mitchell, 34 yards.
Oh yeah, your boy. I even text you about him. Your boy's
You know what? I'm doing it. I'm doing more. Now, guys, what you can do here is you can play the power play here. 4 correct gives you 10 times, or you can play the flex play. 4 correct gives you 5 times. 3 correct gives you 1.5 times. We're going flex this week. I've had some tough love lately. We're going to go 20 on this. And guys, if you want in and on this daily fantasy football sports and win real money, go to PrizePicks, use the promo code C3. They will match your first deposit up to $100. Might want to stay away from the Panthers. They have taken us down some dark roads when it comes to PrizePicks. Guys, you ready to take another call?
Let's do it.
All right.
Yeah, it's ruled like that.
Oh, he's got short edition.
And if I'm Bryce Young, I'm not dying for this team. I'm letting you know.
All right. We're going to try to take one call. Thanks, Rude. Yeah, we got you. Let's see. Here, check this one out.
This fucking team, this fucking franchise, this fucking front office, these fucking guys, bro. You know, I'm not even fucking mad. I'm just disappointed. It just seems like we keep going backwards. And I'm just fucking tired of it, bro. Like, I know we come on here, everybody cries. It seems like we fucking cry and bitch every fucking week. We had like one good week where we still managed to fucking cry about something. But fucking hey, boys. Something's got to give. You know, I saw that they were trying to march on Mint Street or whatever, go in front of the stadium, you know, show the team, everybody, how fucking disgruntled we are. Then it got postponed. Here's a big flex. Put that shit for Sunday. Let that fucking place get packed with fucking Cowboy fans and all the Panther fans just stay the fuck outside, get drunk and fucking rowdy, and show fucking Pepper and all these other fucking jerk-offs that we're fucking sick of it, bro.
It's not a
we're
bad
sick of this
idea.
penny-pinching fucking stupid shit. All right? Fuck me, man. All right, boys. I gotta go to the fucking gym. I fucking started a fucking yoga class.
Right. My man is hard.
He said, I started a fucking yoga class.
All right, let's
shut
go
up,
to the next
PJ,
call.
man.
What's up, C3? It's Anthony from Charlotte calling in about around noon. Hope y'all boys are having a good Tuesday.
Well,
Just wanted to give my thoughts on the state of the Panthers right now. Yeah, it's not looking good. Officially, the worst record in the league. The Cowboys, they're going to come in and kick our ass, kind of like the 49ers team. We just don't have the personnel to keep up with them. We don't even have the offense to really score on their defense at all. Dak Prescott's been on fire, and he's going to continue that streak. Or he may not even have to. He may just hand the ball off to Pollard 25 times, and that could get the job done for them. Yeah, man, it sucks. It really does. Listen, I'm not caping for anyone, but Frank Reich and Scott Fitterer, you guys better be gone by the end of the season. If you guys are kept around, I can just say that Tepper is the most unserious owner in the NFL, and I will not be tuning into the season next year. I will be tuning into C3. I will be doing the film reviews when I can. I will be doing spaces. I will be on the Friday free falls, and I will always be available if you guys need someone in to fill in for the Tuesday show, because I'm a C3 Panthers fan. I'm not really a Panthers fan at this point. Until my fandom has to be redeemed, this team is just, I can't put faith in them anymore. Obviously, I'm always going to love the Panthers, but I can't take them as seriously as I used to because of just how down bad we are. When you look at Frank Reich in the press conference, he looks like a deadbeat man walking. Like, he looks like, I said it last week after the Bears game, or I think it was before the Bears game. He is going to end up stocking shelves as a part-time employee during Christmas at the supermarket, stealing some vodka just like Bad Santa did, because he is Bad Santa. He's going to ruin our Christmas. And I just don't like this coaching staff. We were sold a bunch of bullshit. And I think to the point of, like, the whole Bryce Young thing, he just isn't set up with a success with his coaching staff. They're just trying to turn him into a checked-out robot. And I was going back and I looked at some of the Alabama film, and I know it's college, but there's no we thought this was going to be an RPO offense, and it's like, dude, how can you run an RPO offense when you're not even attempting to run the ball? Like, it's just inflammatory. It's just insane. These guys better not survive the season, or I can't tune in seriously. I'm done listening to Scott Fitter's bullshit lies. And Frank Reich in the press conference said, we're not trying to be a smash mouth football team. Yeah, thanks for taking the identity away from our offense last year, asshole. The offensive line isn't good at pass protecting. How do we know this, but you don't? Give me your thoughts. Anthony from Charlotte.
All right. You know what I would say is, look, Anthony, I know it is difficult to get excited about this team, to stay invested when things are down like this. But you are the type of football fan that can do it. You are that type of person that can weather these storms. And we're going to need you to do that, not only for our podcast in support of that, but the Panthers fan base is going to have to get through this, particularly if this isn't going to get turned around quickly. So what I would say is try to remind yourself, number one, that part of this is our own fault for inflating expectations at every level. And you know what? That's what you're supposed to do in May, June, July. You know, like, I mean, we got hype. Every single person got hype about the coaching staff. Even if they didn't like it at first, they found a million reasons to say why it was going to be some. And I'm at the front of that line. I'm at the very front of this line that just said that the experience on this coaching staff means that it's going to be an improvement. And it wasn't. Right? I mean, and that sucked. That hurt. We got a number. We were all excited when we traded up for Bryce Young. I know there's a few people that said, man, we paid too much. We did this and that. But you know what? There was still a level of excitement about getting the number one pick. And yeah, there was a little debate about between who that should be, but we were still excited about it. Well, guess what? The number one pick and the quarterback didn't equal the success that we had hoped for right away out the gate. There have been injuries. There have been problems. But, man, you have to try to remember that part of this is on us. Not on us, but, I mean, like, just getting so excited that makes the heart hurt a little bit more. So now what we got to double down on is we double down on our commitment. We double down on our film study. We double down on scouting for the future. And we do it again. We do it all over again.
It seems like we're always just starting over and doing it again.
It does. It does. But you know what? That's what we're in for right now we're in for. And really what we need to be doing is hoping that we get the GM and the order of events right this time. Yeah. You get the GM and the timing that CK has talked about is so important. You then get, if you move on from Frank Reich, which you will, if it's now, if it's late, if it's this, you know, it's that you get that is in sync with the GM, and the timing is good and not emotional. See, the whole thing, and this is the sad part about this, guys, because it's been so bad, is that Panthers have been a little rash in their decisions. You know, it's like, oh my God. You remember, I mean, like, holy shit, we started out 3-0. We're going to fucking win a Super Bowl with Sam Darnold. We got to go trade. We got to go do that. You know what I'm saying? It's like they are even more excited than we are. And we thought this time was going to be the time that they did kind of stable moves. And we just need to hope that when they do their next moves, they're calculated, they're well thought out, and they're right.
Yeah.
Let's go to the next call.
Podcast brothers, how y'all doing? G. Cavassier.
What up,
Hey,
G?
man, our season is not doing good, and I want you guys' opinion on this. Let's play a game called What If. We ain't played that game in months. Okay.
What if your
y'all
aunt
seen
had
shit
nuts?
on the news? Buffalo Bills fired Ken Dorsey as their offensive coordinator. Let's just say that the Bills don't make the playoffs and the Bills let go of their head coach, Sean McDermott. Y'all remember that motherfucker, man. Let me ask y'all a question. If you were the owner and you got rid of Frank after the season, which hopefully I hope that we do, would you hire Sean as the head coach or the damn defensive coordinator? I was thinking about that shit when I saw that shit. Y'all came on my mind when I saw that shit. Would you want Sean back in Carolina? I would. I really would. I loved him as a defensive coordinator. I swear, man. He had that 4-3 fucking knocking. So give me your thoughts on that, y'all. And don't kill me on this. It's just a what-if game.
Oh, I hear you, man. I don't know. How about this? The Panthers have never had a better defense than under Sean McDermott. I'm a believer in that.
Well,
I mean, maybe if you want to go some of the older teams or whatever, but
there's been 3 great defenses in the Panthers history.
2 of them were under McDermott.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind it. Again, I still, even though it went so badly with Frank, I still would prefer an offensive-minded coach to be able to pair with the quarterback. But, dude, beggars can't be choosers at this point, man. But, yeah, if they don't figure it out this year, it feels like they're probably going to fire McDermott.
That's wild. I don't know what to do, G. You know, I want experience. I want offense. I have no effing clue what works.
Not even a little bit.
That sucks. You know who I want? Kyle Shanahan. That's who I fucking want.
I do have a clip. It's 1 minute 14 seconds from Diana Rossini on a podcast talking about coaching changes for the Panthers. You want to hear it or you want to do more calls?
Nah, I think we'll get dinged for it.
Okay.
Let's go to Chase from Anderson.
What's up, guys? It's Chase from Anderson. Well, it's kind of changed things up. I had an idea just everybody just having the same old talking points about the Panthers sucking ass and who to blame or what to blame. I had an idea of some new segments for us listeners to get to know the 4 comrades of the C3 podcast. Have about having a segment each week of you guys take a turn telling your story, like about who you are, you know, what's your story, you know, for us listeners to get to know you guys. I think that'd be a pretty neat idea. Let's see what y'all think about that. And make sure it includes your social security number and your mother's name.
And your first car and
You
your
got it, dude.
favorite pet, favorite holiday. You know what is the favorite holiday is bullshit. That's a terrible question for security questions. Because if you answer it honestly, 9 times out of 10, it's going to be a certain holiday.
What?
I'm not going to say it because then I would give away my question. Next call.
Yo, what's up? It's JJ calling in real quick. And
What up, JJ?
With that whole, y'all were saying something about a sponsorship letting y'all go or something like that on some bullshit, and or whatever like that. Anyways, the whole thing I'm getting at is I remember I wanted to give y'all some advice about the super chat. Or I guess something I just heard from another streamer while watching their live stream when they said they were able to like link their PayPal to their account or whatever, and they were able to get like 100% of their super chats or whatever. Like, so basically what happened was the streamer asked his other streamer friend how he did that, and then he explained that he was basically telling me, the audience, like, oh yeah, so I could get 100% of the super chats or whatever. So I can't promise that or anything like that, but I will say y'all should look into that, considering y'all got your sponsorship revoked or whatever like that. Especially because like, it's just worth it. Y'all are such a great podcast. Y'all deserve that. So whatever, you should look into that. I just wanted to put that out there in case y'all didn't know. Cool. It would be unfortunate if that wasn't true, but
no, I think I can.
No, I just heard that one time from another streamer, and I figured I was like, wait a second, yeah, I should probably like let y'all know about it. That'd be some good shit for y'all, So that'd be unfortunate, like I said, if it wasn't true. But hey, if it is, that's what's up, and I'd be glad I put y'all on. But I do also want to mention a quick ice up to Tony Dunn, because he said in the off season he made fun of me for saying something like the Hornets making decisions in win now mode, and then he was like, "Could you imagine us doing a Hornets podcast?" I mean, like, you basically are, Tony. It's just football, Like,
this is
teams
funny.
think they're making moves as if they're in win now mode when they're clearly not good enough. I mean, like, yeah. Sounds the same to me. Yeah, no, I just thought that was funny. Shout out, y'all. Peace out. Keep pounding.
Appreciate you, JJ.
You're gonna get an applause for that, because you're right. Is the irony of us trying to talk down to any other sports team right now is interesting. That one came back. Maybe it's my fault. I think, JJ, probably what they're doing is giving the link to their PayPal or their Cash App on the screen or in the show description, which is something that we do have, guys. If you guys want to donate to the show in that manner, I think Google takes 40% of the super chats. I mean, that's what they do. But I do think we don't want to over ask for people's donations. You know what I'm saying? Is that we used to say we would never ask, but we appreciate the support. We're not going to shy away from saying they do help, and we appreciate them when they come in. I think that there is, there's been other methods that you could do. Like, we could not do the Google version of the subscription. We could do it through Patreon. One thing I like is and I think people like when they do the super chat, is that it's displayed in Google in the show, and it's part of the community. So look, those opportunities every now and then we'll get one. But look here, there's ways to donate in the show description, Cash App, PayPal, super chats, C3 Superfan. But what you really do is you're doing it right now by hanging out with us. Smash the thumbs up button, subscribe, check us out on iTunes, TuneIn, wherever you get your audio podcast. Tell some people about us. A lot of times you run into Panthers fans that just have never thought to, I guess, either look up Panther Podcast, or they just don't know about us. So those are all ways you can support. And again, we're going to have to lock arms because Anthony, like you said, it's going to be tougher, man. And we're going to keep doing this. And it's a lot easier when you guys rock with us. It's a lot easier on us when we get these calls after call. And that's interesting. So let's go to the next call. And that's a great way to support us. I mean, I think the amount and volume of calls when we get in the off season, that's it. You know, when you really want to give us your support in May, April, when the numbers dip, we would appreciate you coming checking us out and hanging with us then. And I know a lot of you already do.
Gentlemen, we're at the midway point of the season. On the September 5th, 2023 show, I asked each of you, how many wins and losses are the Carolina Panthers going to have this season? So we're at the midway point, and on September 5th, Tony Dunn stated Panthers would go 8-9, Cody Lashley 9-8, CK 10-7, and the Bat Daddy 10-7.
Oh,
well, gentlemen, how could you have gotten this so wrong? What were you guys thinking? I mean, what did you miss? And how could you look at this roster and think that this is a 10-win team or a 9-win team or an 8-win team? So guys, tell me, what are you going to do is to better improve your skills at evaluating talent, players, coaches? Because I think for this one, I think that you guys were on the fairy tale gravy train land, thinking that a good coaching staff is going to make up for lack of talent on a roster.
We thought we had a good coaching staff. Turns out
what are your
don't.
thoughts? Bye-bye.
Oh, man. And, you know, every once in a while he'll pop into the chat and he will post our numbers to make sure that we don't forget.
Oh, I didn't forget. I haven't forgotten, but I love, first, I like the date timestamp on that and the precision of that because that's important. So first, thank you for that. Look, is that I got it wrong, dude. I got so many things wrong. First, here, this is what I actually would say in response to the call. I didn't think the roster was fantastic. I just thought we would get a little bit more out of it.
Right.
And I was being optimistic in that the idea that I was buying into the Bryce development hype and this and that. I just thought it was going to go different. I thought that the coaching staff would push us in a positive direction rather than impede us from getting there. I also didn't think that these free agent acquisitions at the time are that bad. I thought Miles Sanders was going to be pretty good. I thought we were going to be feeding Miles Sanders a lot. We haven't because he stinks or everybody stinks. I thought Hayden Hurst would get more than one catch every 5 weeks. Right? I thought he would just be a blanket, that a safety blanket for Bryce Young. And the guy I was most wrong on, DJ Chark. He's non-existent. He doesn't even he is about as good as J.C. Horn. And he's hurt just as much in a way. It's just not as significant.
Right.
I was wrong, man. I was wrong on every single thing. I thought Bryce would be further along. And now, look, people are going to say, oh, it's not his fault. I don't care. I mean, I just thought he would be
again, to the point is we thought he would elevate things based on everything that we were told about him, right? Nobody predicted this. So, I mean, I can't put everything on that. Our offensive line, we felt like had been fixed based on the performance it had last year. And so, yeah, I'm not overly critical of our talent evaluation. I think what's more important is the coaching evaluation. I think that is more. I think our I guess our rose-colored glasses regarding the coaching is probably where I would criticize us most.
Totally. I mean, that is it from the get-go. But at the same time, and we could call them rose-colored glasses, CK. But the fact that you're worse than Matt Rule and his staff is fucking
nobody thought that it was. Nobody thought it was possible for us to field a worse team than what we did under Matt Rule.
This is the absolute. The only thing that could have gone worse is Bryce Young being seriously injured so far. Like, there's actually not a single thing that we thought could possibly be good that has happened. Like, name me one thing that you thought was going to be a good part of this team or a whatever. I don't think anything good
Miles
has come
Sanders and Hayden Hurst.
No, you can't. That didn't work.
But that's what we're saying. No, it didn't work. We had high expectations that it was going to work, and it never did.
This is good. Kev says Adam Thielen.
He's the only one. Aiden's been asking us this in the chat. Do we think Tepper would move the team before he would sell it? I don't necessarily know that there's somewhere more lucrative for David Tepper to move the team that would also give him all the things that he's gonna want. I don't think he's going anywhere, and I think he's learning the hard way that he's down for the long haul with this. He made a very large investment for the Panthers, and by the way, he's still making money hand over fist. That stadium is going to be sold out on Sunday, and it's not even going to be Panther fans in the damn thing. But it doesn't matter because the money is still the same color, So,
yeah, and I don't know if the draw of moving teams to bigger markets necessarily pays off like it used to now in the internet age. And I don't know if like putting this in Austin brings you that much more revenue. I mean, I don't know. Maybe it does. Maybe you sell. Maybe you can sell more T-shirts or something like that. But
and they're not bigger. Are they bigger markets than Charlotte? I know Charlotte and specifically Charlotte is the fastest growing city in the Southeast.
Yeah, I don't know. It's an interesting question that I hope we never have to talk about, because I tell you this, that'll be the day that I shut down the podcast.
Yeah, that'll be the day that I'm not a diehard Panther fan anymore.
I won't cheer for them.
If they're going to give me an out of being able to root for another team, I'll take it.
That's the time that you get to pick who's hot at the moment. All right,
and he'll be the most hated man forever.
Yeah.
Hey guys, it's the growl that makes him howl, aka Joey the Blind Panther. Guys, it is crazy because I never liked the idea of being the team that never gives a head coach a chance, because that means no head coach is going to want to come here. Because, a head coach is going to be thinking, well, if I can't make chicken salad with, infected chicken shit, then I'm going to be fired. So why would I go there? Well, and I think this season has been so bad and the expectations were so high that I think it has to be a conversation.
Yeah, I never thought we would be at this point.
Although I don't think it's going to happen, because I don't think that Frank Reich is going to get fired, because
why? Give us one reason.
NFL wisdom will tell you don't want to done your coach. That's not something that is a good idea. I know the Cardinals did it with Steve Wilkes, but look where the Cardinals are. Yeah, they beat the Falcons, but those are the damn Atlanta Falcons. They're tied with us for worst team in the league right now. Okay? They won and done their coach. And Steve Wilkes. Okay? So I think, and if we do, the only solace I could take in the fact that if we do that is if we fire Frank Reich, then that probably means Scott Fitterer is gone too.
I think you got to do it in opposite
I don't
order.
think Tepper is going to keep Fitterer, because he knows we've been calling for his head, and he knows we're the ones that buy the tickets, and we're the ones that up his fortune, so where he thinks he can call us basement dwelling losers. But we should have marched on Mint Street. But that's a crazy situation to be in right now, especially where we were this off season, and also the Browns. Okay, the owners of the Browns were rookies at one point, and they did this dumb shit for, God, I don't know how long. I think I was.
They're still doing dumb shit.
I might have been old enough to drink before the Browns actually were good.
And better than us.
So it's going to be a long road.
Look, I've had a long day, so guys, I'm gonna just play your growl, and we'll talk about your call. I'm not gonna play the other two calls. Sorry, Joey, I love you. My wife's out of town. Been trucking 3 kids around all afternoon to dance classes out the wazoo. Let me see if I can fast forward. Yeah.
People wondering where G Baby is in the cat.
Crazy.
Yeah, this is the end of his.
But, well, of course I thought of it, so probably.
Oh, I'm giving him his rule.
Anyway, guys. Wow.
I think this is. I really agree with you so much at the heart of just like maybe firing it could be too rash, but I felt that way, and I was taking a bold step last week. After this past game, I just don't right now I don't see a world at this point where Frank Reich can survive it, even if it was the right move, even if it was somehow in the future it's going to work out and whatever. I just don't think of the only reason you can give is that you shouldn't do it. I guess because I don't know. I don't know a single reason right now. Things have been, and I know, look, this is the old Ron Rivera adage. The game's come down to 2 or 3 plays. 2 or 3 plays different each one of these games, or maybe 4 out of the 8 games. Make this a 4-8 team or 4-4 team rather than a 1-8, or we would be 4-5. Right, rather than a 4, but that didn't happen. Right now, I just don't know. The only thing I would say is, to me, in my opinion, of how a argument for trotting Frank Reich out there again next year would be let the new GM come in and decide if he wants to do it now or get a year under his belt to prepare the pathway for his next coach, to give that coach a better shot at success rather than asking him to make chicken salad out of infected chicken shit, as Joey said, right? It's like, I mean, he could enter the season with the plan that, hey, Frank Reich is done even if he wins 8 games this year. Like, the only thing that can keep him, look, they fired Marty Schottenheimer back in the day. He went 14-2, bro. I mean, they're like, sorry.
It feels inevitable now. And I think that it feels like if we have a bad outing against Dallas, which I kind of think we're all expecting to happen, that we could see something happen to Fitterer or maybe even Frank Reich.
Yeah. I think that sadly, I mean, this is the type of game that like Dallas fucks up. Like the NFL always has some stupid game that happens where it's like not supposed to happen in any realistic world except for on Sunday. So that's like the only hope is the Panthers are just hoping for to be the crapshoot of all of it. What do you guys think about the March? Here's the thing is, you know what, is they were talking about needing, and I don't want to, needing a permit. You wouldn't need a permit on a game day. You just get to blend in as Panthers.
Yeah, but then that wouldn't be as effective. Like you'd be fans and like saying what
disgruntled fans.
You really need a permit for that? That's kind of BS.
Yeah, you do have to have for any publicly or like any organized, but it shouldn't be too hard to obtain. I mean, as a public demonstration, you have the right.
They said they're gonna try to reschedule it, but here's my deal: what are you doing it for? Like, we know Panther fans are pissed off, but normally if you're protesting any real life issue, you're doing it with the goal in mind. Is the goal to get Fitterer fired? Is it to get Frank Reich fired?
Speed up the
timeline? To sell the team? Like,
I think it's firing the coaching staff.
The Panthers, but again, that's not.
That's going to happen. You don't have to march for that to happen.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And like,
just watch Dallas destroy them on Sunday, and then no need. March canceled.
It's basically just to get Panther fans some PR and stand in the streets and chant, keep pounding for a few hours. Like, I understand the sentiment, but I don't see what change it leads to.
I'm not going out there. But I also live 4 hours away. I wouldn't go out there
live
anyway.
right next to it, and I'm not going out there.
Man. And I think, God bless them for trying to organize whatever they want to organize. I'm sure they have their own goals in mind.
Yeah, I just have questions. That's all. I'm not trying to.
I don't think you have to march. You know what? March. I think it's pretty apparent that everybody is fucking pissed off about everything.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I mean, we're fighting with each other. We're devouring our own. We're questioning everything. Don't worry. Everybody knows Frank Reich is disliked. Everybody knows Scott. We're at deeper levels at this point. We're going deep into this shit. We're like, oh my God, DJ Shark, I want to fucking fight you in the street. I don't know. It's like, look, hey, God bless. Go demonstrate whatever. I think it's pretty apparent, though. And I think those go. I mean, would it be just to expedite it? I think this is probably for self-promotion. That would be my guess. But
here's the part of it that I think. I mean, yes. I mean, there could be an aspect of that, but I also think that we have, as Panthers fans, we demean ourselves in saying we're fair weather fans. We've seen our fan base just be
shrink,
apathetic to everything, right? And so what I worry about is that I don't think our fan base, this franchise can survive what we've been dealing with. And the optimist in me is saying, no, we need to show them that we do care. Like, this is not we're not the Panthers of old where you have a bad season, oh, woe is me, another bad season, move on with our day. Like, we demand there to be change. We demand this team to be a better team. And we are the ones supporting this entire organization. And we're the ones that have the power to be able to show them that this is something that we're not happy with. We're not going to continue to be happy with it. And if we continue to be apathetic fans, then we can continue to lose our home field advantage. We can continue to lose our players to other teams. We can continue to not be able to attract free agents. I mean, listen, it's not just a matter of our successes, but our fan base are when people come to our stadium, they don't feel like they're getting an away game. They feel like it's another home away from home. There's not a lot of stadiums like that. So being able to show that we are more the fan base that is sticking around, that is still here and still holds a value of being of the Panthers being a valuable part of our lives. We're not going to sit here and just lay down and hope that things get better. We're going to sit here and demand for it. And right now, not doing anything after a mini bye, after a Thursday night embarrassing butt whooping by the Chicago Bears is the epitome of doing nothing and us being apathetic if we continue to move forward in the way we have been.
So you think a march could be a statement of Panther fans saying we want to be better as fans too? Or
yeah, I mean, committed? I want us to be better. I want us to be better fans. I want us to feel like we're, I want it to feel like we're making progress and we're able to actually create a change the culture. As you see the riot.
Yeah, I mean, Roy and Riot tried to do that. Look, Aiden Guthrie says this. I'm a big PMP fan. If they did the march without getting proper stuff done to do so, and someone did something stupid, PMP could have gotten in legal trouble since they came up with the event. Actually, they could have gotten in legal trouble just for having the event without the proper paperwork. There was also a Pee-wee football thing going on, like a fundraiser at the stadium that day.
Stadium.
I mean, it wasn't the right timing. And if fans want to go out there, I think that's a great point, CK, is that if this is a way for us to hunker down and dig in deeper as Panther fans and grow the culture in the face of the most adversity we've seen in a long time, then let's go for it. One thing you could do, though, if you just wanted to really fuck shit up, is if we could all work together and get a hashtag trending on game day. Imagine if you were trending on X on game day and you got 5 million Panther fans saying fire Scott Fitterer. Like, you wouldn't be able to ignore it. Like, it would be on NFL Network. It would be on that could be one way too for us to, we could organize a virtual march.
But here's the thing is there's a part of me that I get that part of it. And there's also the other empathetic part of me. I talk about apathy, but I also think we need to be a fan base of empathy as well, right? Like, we don't need to humiliate Scott Fitterer to do it, right? We need to humiliate David Tepper, and tell him.
Then he's going to call us basement fans.
Well, yeah, but
maybe we should do that. Basement fans call for, out of the basement.
Yeah. But by the way, dude, if you're going
it's going to happen no matter what.
Even if it happens, though, again, think about, you're talking about shaming, though. Think about how the players feel. Yeah. That your fans are marching on the stadium because y'all are so fucking ass. Again, I understand representing Panther fandom. I don't necessarily know what changes it leads to. I don't know, man.
I think it would be cool. I think CK is hinting, though, is that somehow we have grown a strong fan culture in the face of crazy adversity, too. So if people actually went and did that, that isn't the Panthers fan base of 2010. I don't know. All right, let's take another call. We got 2 more, and then we're getting out of here.
Yo, it's White Chocolate Espresso. Yo, JC is back, baby. JC, he's coming back. He's going to beef up the defensive backs. And you know who we're playing? We're playing Dallas.
Oh, this
you know what? I have a feeling.
Gamecocks fan.
I have a feeling. Ooh, that Dak is gonna throw 3 interceptions. He's gonna throw 3 interceptions. I'm calling it right now. He came off a great performance against the Giants, and now it's a come down.
They are every other week team.
He is going to get picked off 3 times, and the Carolina Panthers are going to win the game. Woo! Excuse me while I do some more cocaine.
Could happen.
He's got that.
I know this guy Randolph always brings food into the radio station we do on Fridays and stuff. Like, he's just a nice guy that loves the show on Pirate Radio, and he's a big Dallas Cowboys fan. But anytime you ask him about Dallas, he's like, Dak's gonna throw picks. Like, even against the Panthers, I was like, oh, you guys are gonna stomp us. And he's like, Dak's gonna throw picks. The Dallas fans are funny. Let's go to the last call of the night.
Hey guys, what's up, man? This is Al.
What up, Al?
Just came from the movies, watched the Marvels. It was pretty good. I really enjoyed it. Like a girl power movie, something I can watch with my daughters. But that was really nice. It was pretty funny too. How about we put the blame where it should lie? Yeah, we put it with Tepper 1, Fitterer 2, and then Bryce Young is 3. I know he's a rookie. I know he's undersized. I know his arm is weak. I know he has less athleticism than most starting quarterbacks, but that doesn't excuse the shitty play that he's been having. And management sucks. I'm not going to put on Frank Reich. I don't think he's really the problem. I think it starts with Tepper, then Fitterer, and then Bryce. If he really liked Bryce from the start, then more power to him. He can go too. But yeah, man, the Marvels, go watch it. It's pretty good. Enjoy it, and you guys have a good night. I'll call you from the Bahamas when I get back.
Yeah, appreciate you, bro.
Works on a ship. He's always moving and shaking around the world.
You might be one of the only ones that went to see the Marvels.
I didn't even know it was a movie.
Yeah, you wouldn't be alone.
I'm tired of I watched
Marvel fans are tired of Marvel movies, Tony, of course.
Yeah, and I stupidly have like 5 shares of Disney. And I don't know how that's going to come back after we miss. I missed I had the
thought is that this Marvel's movie is forecasted to flop so hard, especially compared to what they paid for it, that they're going to have to adjust what they're doing from here.
Oh, they will.
From here on out.
Yeah. Disney as a whole is going to have to do that.
Yeah, and they still have 2 aces up their sleeve that they could get right in the Fantastic Four and the X-Men. And if done well, that could be awesome.
You're listening to the longest running Panthers podcast. The number's 252-228-5098. We are not taking calls anymore this evening, but we will be in the post-game show on Sunday. 1 call, make it good. Let's get after it. Don't call too early and then want to call back and say, hey, I got more to say. I want to see some callers, and you guys are great, by the way. Thank you for all the great calls tonight. And we've had some killer calls throughout the years. I want to start to see these callers going after it and like really prepping to say what they got to say and crush. I want to look, if the Panthers can't win, you can win the cat calls. That you can. Maybe that should be our next giveaway. Maybe we'll give something away for best call. I got some things we can work on. Let's see. Let's do some ice up picks. Oh, in the NFL news, by the way, Ken Dorsey got fired because is it true that DeMar Hamlin was the 12th? They got a penalty for too many men on the field, and it was DeMar Hamlin?
I know they got a penalty for that. But I don't know who the
I saw one of those. I saw one of those crazy tweets because the Bills fans are fucking bananas, dude. You want to talk about some people that really, I mean, they jump on tables and shit, right? They're wild. Somebody put a meme up that said, I wish you would have stayed dead or something.
It was about the plane crash. Like he hopes that there was a plane crash or something.
No, that was a different one. This was a cut from a movie where
for DeMar Hamlin. Oh.
Yeah, and it was like, oh shit, these motherfuckers are pissed. And then that other Bills fan said he wished Sean McDermott would die in a plane crash. I was like, man, we got callers that say shit like that too. Other news, I think that's about all I got was that Ken Dorsey. Oh, we'll get to see some Joe Brady.
Yeah, man.
What if Joe Brady does great? And I think it was Kev who said this, wins the Super Bowl and then becomes the Panthers head coach.
Yeah, then I'll be vindicated because I always said that he was the scapegoat. He was the scapegoat when Matt Rule didn't know what the fuck to do. So he hit the axe to Joe Brady when Joe Brady was out here working. It was like right after a holiday or something.
Oh, I think Zay Jones got former ECU Pirates. Got involved in a domestic.
Yeah, he did. Then he was
arrested on domestic battery. This is his third strike in my mind. 1 was not being good early on. 2 was when he smoked that spice and got naked and ran out into the lobby of that hotel and tried to break out like of a prison. And 3 is now this battery. So 3 strikes. Zay probably not going to be a fan anymore. Unless. I investigate this more and I make a rush to judgment. Guys, let's finish the podcast with the longest running segment on the longest running Panthers podcast. Let's ice some fools up. Sorry, I put Cody on the spot, and he's not even doing it.
I zoned out. I didn't even. I didn't even.
My bad. We don't even go do it.
I wasn't doing anything at all. My bad.
Ice up, son. Ice up.
This is where we pay our homage to Steve Smith, where we tell someone to ice up, toughen up to get it together. Anybody is fair game for this. And usually we pick a couple of things. Let me go first because I'll start with our person almost died. And I feel like I've seen this one before, so if I've shared this one, forgive me. And but I definitely watched this.
We ain't got no place.
Yeah, Turner.
This guy's pulling down this trailer thing. Boom. Ugh.
What?
Yeah, he got crushed. His dog is like, hey, dummy, don't
Did
do
he
that.
die?
No, he waves to this other guy to come help him.
But dude,
He's
that was
fucked up,
also kind of on him. Like it seems like his technique going about doing that was
stupid.
kind of flawed.
He wasn't thinking. He wasn't thinking.
No,
and my other ice up goes to Billie Eilish, who says men do not face the same criticism about their bodies because girls are nice. She went to say this: nobody ever says a thing about men's bodies. If you're muscular, cool. If you're not, cool. If you're rail thin, cool. If you have a dad bod, cool. If you're pudgy, love it. Everybody's happy with it. You know why? Because girls are nice. They don't give a fuck because we see people for who they are. Ice up, Billie Eilish, because that's some fucking bullshit. You're right. You don't say anything about their bodies because you don't acknowledge their existence.
Yeah,
that's what you do. So shut the fuck up. You know, I'm saying wine. No, you know what? Girls they have a movie called Mean Girls. What? Because they're so fucking nice. Shut the fuck up. Yeah. Sorry, that was a little bit too harsh from me. But I'm just saying, this is the most bogus crap ever.
Women sometimes have the highest of standards when it comes to
everybody is a jackass in this world. You know what I'm saying? And everybody body makes judgments on this. And people, like, if you got a big ass mole on your fucking forehead, you'd be like, oh, we're just nice. We want to suck your. Come on.
Mine is very short and simple. Look, there's a moment in this video when you can tell that the guy knows that he fucked up.
This is the Carolina Reaper chili. It's the world's and I'm wearing gloves right now because all of that heat, well, it comes from these seeds right here. Now, I just came back from Beast where they held Melbourne's annual chili eating competition, and competitors had to compete eating chips.
Oh, don't do it again.
No.
It's right there. It's like, oh, fuck. He knows that
he's about to be
so
dead.
bad.
Do you know he's not accurate though about all the heat being in the seeds? There is, like, at least according to this professor I had in college, who was a South American historian, and we sat through. Man, I'm pretty sure she talked about this for like 45 minutes in this one class. But there's like a mucus membrane, like a very thin mucus membrane around the seeds in that part. And if that is what like releases the heat.
Yeah.
So basically, like, you could, if you gently cared for the pepper the entire time, like, it couldn't blow in the wind, I don't even think.
Yeah.
You know, and then maybe you could take a bite out of the tip or something. Anyway, don't wipe that. You know what? That's bound to fucking happen. You know, you make these videos like that. You are playing with fire, bro.
Dude, could you imagine how much that hurt? Oh my god, dude, it makes me cringe when thinking about it.
CK, you got anything?
Yeah, I do. So I got out of my work yesterday. I actually got off early. It was going to be a good day. Found somebody had broken into my vehicle and stolen a driver, which was in my golf, my golfing driver, just to clarify. And I would say I'm icing myself up, but no, honestly, the person I'm icing up is the person who stole the driver, because they stole what they thought was the most expensive thing in the entire thing, which it's not cheap. It's, to replace it, I'm going to be looking at $300, but to replace my my wedges would have been about $500. So to the thief who thought he was getting the best deal, ice up, son. Ice up.
Next time, still the catalytic converter, jerk. No. All right. That's the C3 Panthers podcast, brought to you by CarolinaCatChronicles.com. You know where to find us Tuesday nights, Friday nights for the free for all. film review with Cody Lack and who a lot of people, we all are going to be trying to chip in.
I know me and Cole and Pickle have been doing it every.
Great. Friday free for all, Sunday post game show, and we're going to keep rocking and rolling. Cody Lack, can you take us out of here, please?
I can. C3 Panther Nation. Until next time, keep pounding.